The team news. Thomas Tuchel makes 2 changes from his winning starting lineup against Croatia, and they're both in the back 4 as Gay and Spence come in for the Manchester City pair of Stones and O'Reilly. So Spence, who came on as a right back last Wednesday, starts at a World Cup for the first time at left back, and Gay makes his first appearance at a World Cup. Otherwise, it is as you were. Gordon and Madueke keep their places. Jude Bellingham will win his 50th cap here, so he'll become the youngest man to do so for England, and it'll be Harry Kane's 116th, which puts him 3rd on his own on the list of England appearances. So the England team for this one: Pickford, James, Konza, Gay and Spence, Anderson and Rice, Madueke, Bellingham, Gordon and Kane. And everyone else is named on the list of substitutes. And as for Ghana, Carlos Queiroz actually makes 4 changes from their first match. Remember, they also won their opening match in the group against Panama with the late goal. So 4 changes. Atizigi, the goalkeeper, who was a doubt, is not fit, although he is named as a substitute. But Benjamin Asari starts in goal. Also coming in, Sibo into the midfield. Iñaki Williams up front, the Athletic Bilbao player, but most noteworthy, Thomas Partey starts in midfield, the former Arsenal midfielder at Villarreal now, but who was denied entry to Canada, but was able to come into the United States. I'm sure we'll talk about him later as well, but Partey is in the team. So the Ghana team, Asari in goal, 3 central defenders for this one: Sanaya, Ajeti and Opoku. Then Urenchi on the right, he scored the winner against Panama, right wing back today. Mensah on the left, Sibo and Partey in the middle. Then Antoine Semenyo and Jordan Ayew in the wide areas, Manchester City, and recently left Leicester, Ayew, and then Williams up front. So there are the 2 teams.
Get the thoughts of everybody involved in our coverage. Surely we've got 200 England appearances between us, with Paul Robinson alongside me in the stadium, Steph Houghton and Phil Jagielka are with us. But I am genuinely interested, John, because I know you're not the biggest fan of American sports, but England's first game was in a truly astonishing stadium in Dallas, known as the house that Jerry built, the home of the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones, the Dallas Cowboys owner, the biggest screen at any venue in the world, I think, is what they claim with their Jumbotron. This here has a very different feel to it. They tried to have a little bit of the modern here. You know, the screens are huge at Foxborough. There's a sort of bar with a terrace area away to our right. But this is a sort of grassroots, down and dirty venue, really, in many ways.
It's got to feel a little bit of a baseball stadium to me, a massive baseball stadium. And I love the way that it's quite higgledy-piggledy. You know, it's not all the same all the way round. I would love it if it had a roof on it. That would help. But it is, I mean, it's towering on the side, so it's very steep. So as usual in our commentary positions, we're very high, but it does still feel as though you're close to the action. But some of the walkways as well that you see over to our right, in between the big screen there, that walkway there, it's like a high-level bridge, isn't it? That they're walking from behind the goal to the top of the stand on the far side. And well, it'll have never been like this, with all of those probably hundreds of England fans draped all over it.
No, and this is where Bill Belichick and Tom Brady dominated for so many years. They were such a successful team, the New England Patriots. But it's not just the stadium, Paul Robinson. You know, you've been outside it. This is the whole complex here. This is where they train as well. The media centre is their indoor training facility, which again is so basic because that's how they wanted it.
Yeah, and it's so far out of town, it's not easy for supporters to get to. But what they've built here, they've built like their own infrastructure. Yeah. So I was fortunate earlier. I got here to the stadium early, and I walked the whole way around in and among the England fans. I put a cap on and a big coat and had a walk round. And they've built like their own Freeport. There's shops, there's bars, there's restaurant. There's nothing else for miles around, but it's its own self-contained place. It really is. It's very, very impressive when you get here, but different to a lot of other American stadiums that we've seen.
The sausage bun that I had here is one of the best things I've eaten since I've been in the United States. Absolutely outstanding. So if anyone's listening on the way to the ground, not the hot dog,
I was going to say
the sausage bun.
What is the difference for those of us who aren't as educated as you between a sausage bun and a hot dog?
It's a different kind of sausage. It's slightly bigger and I think spicier, and a little bit of peppers on it.
He told me it's the best thing that he's eaten since he's been in the United States, so it must have been good.
Yeah. Wow. And what did that cost you? $45?
With the 20% tip,
behave yourself.
It was about $25, I think. And actually, interestingly, the stall inside the ground was manned by and made donations to a local volunteers group, which was quite nice.
Doing your bit, that's very nice. John Murray and Paul Robinson then here in the stadium as it starts to rain. Phil Jagielka and Steph Houghton are with us as well. What would concern you, if anything, Phil, about this evening from England's perspective?
I don't know. If you look at the Ghana team, it's obviously got a lot of attacking threat. There's a couple of decent players to come off the bench as well. So we just need to get the momentum going. I expected Tuchel to make a few changes. He's obviously just done that in the defence. He's more than happy with obviously the way the team performed against Croatia. But I think it's more about us. I think he'll want the standards to continue. It's nice and sunny and muggy back in the UK, so it sounds like it's more like English football weather where you are. So hopefully that'll suit us well enough, and we can manage to put a decent performance in.
It's very English. That's the best way to describe this weather at the moment, to the extent that ponchos have been handed out to us all, which come with a rather bizarre plastic visor attached to the hood as well. So we are, all of us, got our ponchos on here. Steph, are you happy with the changes he's made? Do you understand the changes? We'll hear from him shortly on why he's made them.
Yeah, I do in a way, Chappers. I think obviously Mark Gay, I thought he was really unlucky not to start the last game. I think for Manchester City and Palace, he had a great season last year, and one of the best centre-halves in the league, and that's for sure. So it's really nice to see him have a start, and obviously Jed Spence did really well when he came on in the game in the last final minutes. But I think Tuchel's been very kind of positive about Spence and what his qualities are, and you look at the Ghana team and they've got pace in them forward areas, and it does make a bit of sense to have Spence as that left back, especially if he's going to be playing against the likes of Semenyo, who we know is a great presser, but also with the ball he likes to dribble, he likes to get in the box. So I could see sense, and I think when we have the squad that we have, why not rotate, especially in this game now?
Ghana outfield players already out and warming up. Both sides' goalkeeping units have been out for a little while, still waiting for the England outfield players to come out and begin their warm-up as well. Let's hear from the England boss on the changes he's made.
They deserve to play, and we have a little bit more speed and a little bit different profile in the players. Mark a little bit more agile and a bit faster than John, and more convenient to play on the left side for him than for John. And Chad just a bit more defensive and faster, and more defensive also to control the counterattacks.
Yeah, you mentioned there the counter-attacks. Is that a big part of what you expect Ghana to threat today?
Yeah, that's a big part. They are happy to give up possession. They want to have ball wins in the center of the pitch, and they want us to fall asleep, want the opponents to feel safe, and then do the counter-attacks with very fast and physical players. The other one is very direct play onto the wings, not shy to use long balls. So that's basically it. I think we will have a lot of duels on the fullback position, and we need to be careful in the coverage and be very aggressive when to stop counterattacks before they get dangerous.
How important could patience be today and discipline? Always important. I just heard that the grass is a bit long, so we're happy that it's rainy and the ball is maybe not too fast. Let's see. We need to adapt, but yeah, we will play against. We will have ball majority of the ball, I think, and it's important that we find a good balance between patience and also intensity and the freedom to attack. And like I said, while we are attacking, we need to protect ourselves to not be too open.
He has always been very clear, Steph, hasn't he, on this is a squad and they could all be used at some point, not just out of sympathy and making sure everybody gets a game, but there are players who have been bought for specific tactical reasons, and he's explained it perfectly there.
Yeah, I love the fact that he's justifying every decision. He doesn't have to come out and do that, Chappers, and I think for us back at home, when you're thinking who is he going to pick, but that makes so much sense in terms of Gay and Spence, because ultimately they're faster, and I think we know what Ghana can give us in terms of problems wise, and that pace is probably going to be one thing that we need to watch out for. So And I think as soon as he picked this World Cup squad, I think everybody knew what their role would be. So for you as a player, you have a bit of perspective in terms of when them decisions come. It's like, okay, for this game, these two boys are playing. I might not play this game, but I need to be ready to come on if I need to. So for me, I think it was very clear that he's always had this plan in mind, especially with Mark Gay and Jed Spence.
How unusual do you think that is, Phil, in your tournament experience of actually there not being a so-called first-choice starting 11?
Yeah, massively different. I was just going to say, normally, with being such a big nation, obviously we are England and we expect teams to change for us. And I think a lot of people look at making changes for the opponents as a weakness, but I think that can't be true anymore in this modern day and age. I think, as Tuchel said, he's come out and been quite open and honest of why he's made these changes from what he expects, obviously, and how he expects Ghana to play. So why would you not match up? Why would you not? Why would you potentially roll the dice or do a flick of a coin of whether we're going to come out on top or they're going to go on top? We've got a fantastic amount of players that can play many different types and different styles, and he said today, obviously, he expects them to counter-attack with a lot of pace, and we all know that Jed Spence is probably the fastest in the squad, so he's obviously got his place in the team tonight.
And the round of applause that you can hear here at the stadium in Foxborough is the England players coming out to warm up, led by Harry Kane. The tunnel, as it is at all the American grounds, in one corner of the stadium, so that's away on the opposite side to our right, so they've had to run through the Ghanaian half into their own half to start their warm-up. John Murray.
Yeah, just to say on John Stones as well, not in the starting lineup, so this will be the first match that England have played at either a World Cup or a Euros without John Stones in the starting lineup since Euro 2016. So started all of the matches, World Cup 18, then the Euros, then the next World Cup 2022 and Euro 2024.
It's not the last time he's going to play though, is it? I think me and you both agree. We know that Thomas Tuchel likes him, and I think Thomas Tuchel, with the performance against Croatia, he will be expecting England to go deep in the tournament. We spoke about him using different players for different teams and different occasions, but I think he's one that he knows and he trusts, and he will certainly be utilised later on down the road in this tournament.
But he did make the point there, didn't he, with two centre-halves in the studio there in Steph and Phil, and you go first, Phil, if you want. But he did make the point about the balance on the left-hand side.
Yeah, I came on the radio the other day and actually said the same. Obviously, one of John's biggest pluses that how comfortable he is on the ball and how late he leaves some of his decision-making, breaking the lines of his passing. You could see it's not the same. You go to the left side, obviously it's on his left foot. He can use his left foot, but not to the same obviously capabilities. So I do believe if we see more of Stonesy, which I think we do, like Robbo just said, I think he'll end up playing on the right side. He'll probably end up partnering Gahey again, and potentially that'll be the sort of selected two in the latter part of obviously the tournament.
I think as well, in terms of Jed Spence and Nico O'Reilly, I think we've been so used to seeing Nico O'Reilly adopt that inverted midfield position, and he loves to go forward. He likes to get into the 6-yard box, and I think with what Ghana pose in terms of a counter-attack and kind of push towards going to score, I think it is important that we have that kind of security behind the ball. So it does make sense. I think obviously John will be devastated he's not playing, but at the same time, I think this is not the last that we'll see of John Stones in this tournament.
Yeah, I think there's one thing as well, when you look at the Ghana side, there's a couple of different ideas as to how they're going to line up, but it's highly likely that Antoine Semenyo will play on England's left-hand side, on Ghana's right-hand side. So I think the pace of Jed Spence will come into the thinking as well. Thomas Tuchel's openly said that he's the quickest member of his squad, and I think that might be why he's utilised his selection in this game.
The clip of Thomas Tuchel shouting at Jed Spence to wake up during training, Phil, why do you think that was released? Because I think everything is put out there for a reason.
I don't know the exact reason, but I don't think he'll be the first player or the last player ever to told to wake up in a passing drill. I'm sure I was told many times. Once a couple of passes.
I have no doubt about that, to be honest with you.
But I think it was one or two in my career I misplaced. But, again, it's just some of those things, and I think even when you look at Jed's face when he had to sort of talk about it, he smirks himself. He's not looking at that in any sort of way of, oh no, I'm being picked on. Maybe he's that sort of character that does need telling. His name does need to be mentioned to get him started for the training session. But again, I think I can't tell you why it was released, but I can tell you it happens all the time, and it's a good thing if a manager feels he can single you out and shout you in the warm-up, then it means he's got a lot of trust in you and he likes you as a player, so I only see it as a positive.
But do you not think, John Murray, that is a slightly different tactic? And also, Kelly Summers, who's in the England camp as well for BBC Television, made a point that actually they are training sometimes a lot closer to the cameras, so that you are very much aware of what they're doing rather than 500 yards in the distance stretching, as I said earlier on 5 Live.
Yeah, but also what the listening public might not know is that it is only 15 minutes you get to see them, so it is only a brief window in that time, so anything that happens in that time usually is what they want you to see.
Yeah. Jed Spence said after the being shouted at clip, I probably just missed one of the zones to go to, and he just told me to wake up. It's normal. He's an elite manager. He demands the highest quality from his players, and we want to give the highest quality back as well. So it's very normal in training sessions, to be honest. I think I've got a good relationship with him. He talks to me sometimes before training, after training, reminds me of what I need to do, what qualities I possess. Like I say, I've got a good relationship with him, and I think he's a great manager. But quite often, Steph, the shouting is accompanied, and Spence himself said it there, with warmth. You need to have both.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's the two sides that Tuchel showed. I think when you're building a relationship with a manager and you're gaining that trust, I think you obviously have to take the good with the bad, and I think it's finding that balance. And obviously when you're there to work, it's about setting standards, and I think that clip's just, I think in my opinion, is just to kind of show the standards that Tuchel's setting as soon as training happens, even if it's in that 15 minutes where the press are allowed to see. Because generally them 15 minutes I've been there, done that. It's all about warm-up games. It's always about smiles on faces, not being so serious. But why not just start the session as you want to go on, and obviously the standard that you set every single day. So I think Tuchel's clever in the sense that he has that relationship with the players, that what you say, what is being told on the pitch, and when you're off the pitch, to be able to say the good and the bad. The boys obviously respect him, and I think that's why Jed's like, I get what he's trying to do.
He's had some turnaround in his fortunes, Paul, hasn't he, Jed Spence? I mean, Thomas Frank couldn't have spoken, when I was in the studio with Thomas Frank the other day, couldn't have spoken with more praise about his ability defensively as a fullback.
Well, when you look at what Bukayo Saka said about him, he said he's the best. He's one of the best in training defensively, and what Thomas Tuchel said about him, how quick he is. But I think one thing you've got to say about Jed Spence is what he's done and the way that he's turned his fortunes round at club level as well. You know, the loans that he's had, going back to Tottenham, how he did, re-establishing himself not only into the Tottenham side, but playing 10 Champions League games this season, and then also getting himself back into the England squad, and then starting a World Cup in the World Cup finals. It's a credit to his mental strength and his attitude as well to rejuvenate himself and his career the way that he has done.
Well, he had that amazing spell on loan at Middlesbrough, didn't he, Paul? And then he joined Spurs, and Antonio Conte, from the moment he joined Spurs, made it clear that he hadn't signed him, that he wasn't interested in him.
Yeah, I mean, he had the loans, didn't he? He went to Stade Rennais, Leeds, Genoa. So like I say, there was times where he's felt very unloved by his club manager, but he came back into the Tottenham side. As I say, repeating myself, but credit to his mental ability and his love for the game and his drive, his attitude and his desire to get himself back to a level as to where he is today.
I suppose the other thing with him, Phil, as well, is that, you know, if the main threat of an opposition switched flanks, he's as comfortable on the right as he is at, well, he started as a right back, didn't he? Spurs have been using him as a left back. But what I'm saying is there's a versatility there for England of where they can use him. Versatility is such an important part of this England squad.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the reason why, obviously, when Livramento went home and we were all wondering who would obviously get called up, he didn't choose to bring another left back in, because he trusts Jed immensely to be able to play there, and like I say, in game he can change wings. I find it amusing because at Middlesbrough he was more of a flying right back / winger, so I'm not even sure he was actually tested as a defender. But now I think in this squad he is trusted as that person that can lock down obviously a winger, so I think that's what we'll be looking for today on the left. It seems like a likeable character. Obviously Conte didn't particularly like him for one reason or the other, but I think the last few managers have taken to him, and he's done very, very well, especially in a Spurs team that have struggled for the majority of the last couple of seasons. He's definitely been the shining light.
You'd have no concern about left centre-half and left-back changing at the same time, Steph?
No, not at all. I think you look at Marquis, and of course this is his first World Cup, the same as Spence, but I think in terms of he's back in his normal position. Of course Stones was out of position in terms of being on that left hand side, but this is a place that Gay's played the highest of level, especially moving to Manchester City and being so consistent. And I think Mark, I reckon he would have been so disappointed not to start. That his motivation to play this game really, really well, and do the things that Tuchel's asked him to do, which is to make sure that we don't get countered. He's got a big responsibility to be aggressive, the same as Spence, and I think that's what them two players have in abundance. So I think I see this more as an opportunity rather than a disruption to the back four, and these players are so consistent with their behaviours that they can play with anyone.
Anthony Gordon's been asked about the weather here, and the rain's just got a little bit harder, so John Murray next to me has now got his cagoule on, a poncho on, and you put an umbrella up.
Yeah, I think it's just reached that point. Yeah, I have to say, I do think it is very funny that we are sitting at a World Cup match and we haven't got any cover. Bearing in mind the places you and I have broadcast from over the years. Do you remember at Rio, at the rowing, we weren't covered there?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and we got very wet there one day.
Yes.
So that was the Olympics.
Yeah.
And here we are at the World Cup, and we could get a drenching. Yet you go to any FA Cup match, any non-league ground, and we're always covered.
I know, but it's we're very lucky.
We are.
Just to but also it's not like Troon or Port Rush of years recent, where by the end of that the waterproofs stopped working.
I should have known when you were coming. I should have known that this would happen. I mean,
bring the weather with me.
The number of places you and I, and the number of golf courses you and I have been soaked to the skin together on.
Well, Anthony Gordon has been asked about the weather pre-match, and he said, I haven't got the skin to deal with the heat. I'm happy about the weather. It's a big advantage for us. It's something that we're not used to, the heat, so we need to use that to our advantage. And you would expect it, Paul Robinson, as you're the one sitting here in between myself and John, they have to use this to their advantage.
Yeah, I mean, it's typical English conditions, isn't it? I mean, it's very mild, and it's absolutely pouring down now. It's a typical Saturday afternoon in the Premier League, and it's conditions that England will be thankful. As I said, I looked at the weather forecast for the couple of days. Yesterday was exactly the same as today, and tomorrow it's 28, 29 degrees and bright sunshine. So England, while they've been here, their pre-match preparations yesterday and the conditions to play in today, they've struck on a bit of luck.
And of course the irony is that people back home are absolutely baking.
Yes, they are. Yeah, which is how it should be. They should be enjoying the weather, have a beer, enjoy the World Cup. That's what it's about, being at home and watching the World Cup. Let's focus on Ghana. Carlos Queiroz, their manager, he's only had 65 days to prepare his side for the World Cup. He took over after the previous coach, Otto Addo, was sacked. He lost 6-2 to England when he was in charge of Iran at the last World Cup, so he knows what to expect.
I know what will be the profile and the style of the team when they start to play against us. It is amazing because it is unique. It is the English style that comes from Premiership, but it is not the only football culture in the world. They are not the only football culture in the world. We respect them. I was there. I respect them. But we have different cultures, identities in the football world. And the beauty of the game, it is exactly when you put these cultures face to face to understand how can we beat each other. I cannot change the DNA It was a mistake if I changed the DNA of African players on the pitch. They should be themselves. They should enjoy to express the way they like, they see, they feel football. And of course, the English team, they'll do the same. What is really the meaning of African teams are teams that are really pure identity with local education and growing up in Africa in that environment, or African boys that they're born in Europe, in other places in the world. They have a different approach of training, mentality. This is the evolution, the progress of the game. This world is not anymore about 4 or 5 identities. We have now mixed identities, Afro-Americans, Europe, Africans, and this is what we can see today when we see Ghana or Senegal or these teams playing.
So that was Carlos Queiroz. Do you think, Paul Robinson, that in some ways England are a better opponent for his style of football than Panama were in the first game? They didn't have a shot on target, or they didn't have a shot full stop in the first half of that game. And I wonder if they have to carry the threat, whether that doesn't really suit them. He wants them compact, defensive, and to hit on the counter-attack.
Well, that's what Carlos Queiroz is. He's a very pragmatic coach, isn't he? I mean, he only had 72 days before this World Cup to work with this Ghana side, but that's exactly what he'll do. He'll sit in a low block, they'll defend, and they'll try and hit England on the counter-attack with the pace that they've got. I mean, they're not a freely scoring goal team. They haven't scored more than 1 goal in a game since October, so that tells you a lot about the team even before he came in. So that group of players that he's got, that he's worked with, we're thinking that they might even be gone to a back 5 today, so that suggests that they are going to sit deep and they're going to say to England, try and break us down, and England might have to be patient at times today, because that's exactly what the opposition will do.
Do you think that's the key against them, Steph? Patience?
Yeah, without a doubt, especially if they do go to a back 5. I think we found in this World Cup especially, teams have found it really hard to break down 5 at the back, and I think especially with the players that we want to have a lot of the ball, but we need to take our chances early, and I think that's when that concentration in terms of patience and just being able to stop counter-attacks as much as we possibly can, because we know that this side wants to do that, and it's quite clear that he doesn't want to change the identity of this team.
Defensively, if you're in England's back 4, then what is the biggest challenge? Concentration here, Phil. If you're going to have the majority of the ball and they're going to sit compactly and try and hit you on the break, is concentration the biggest issue?
Yeah, a little bit, but also out of in possession shape will mean defensively you're a little bit spread anyway. So I think in the first half against Croatia, I think obviously Rice dropped out to the left a lot, which when they were counter-attacking, we were a little bit short in midfield. So again, I think that's probably why Spencer's come in there to probably stay more in his position, keep us probably in a better shape when we've got the ball. But it'll be difficult. Ghana know that basically if they get a draw tonight, they will have qualified, really. You know, you think of how many teams are going to qualify to the next stage. So they basically need a point between our game or Croatia. So it does look like they're going to come here, try and stifle us and hit us on a counter-attack. But we need to be patient. We've got a lot of pace and power in our team, and you know, it'd be lovely to get an early goal, and that would totally change their game plan. But if not, I think we can be patient. I think we'd hopefully got enough quality both that starting the game and obviously coming off the bench again to hopefully see us through this game.
Spent a lot of time talking about the defence so far this evening for England. Let's move slightly further forward and talk about the midfield. We can hear from Elliot Anderson, who's been talking to Kelly Summers.
Elliot, the World Cup is underway and it was some debut from you, wasn't it? How do you reflect upon it a few days later?
It was amazing. It was really special, sort of special feeling to walk out. The stadium was amazing. The atmosphere was really good as well. And to get off to a start with 3 points is what we wanted. So I'm really happy.
I'm not sure if you're aware some of the plaudits that have come your way since then. The Guardian described you as indispensable to England. Alan Shearer said you were outstanding. How would you sum up how you played?
I was happy overall. I think second half I showed a bit more of what I wanted. First half we were a bit under pressure. We didn't feel too relaxed and stuff, but we still won, and we'll learn from the game and take it forward. So yeah, I was happy with myself.
It looks like you've kind of settled in with ease. Has it felt like that for you?
Yeah, I think the lads in the group has made it a lot easier for me. I think there's a lot of boys that I know, and it's quite a young group, so I couldn't speak more highly of the team and the players that are in the team, and then obviously the quality of the players and everything brings out the best in you, and I feel at home and I feel happy.
I'm fascinated by your position in this England team. Dec told us the other day, he's the 8, you're the 6. That's what Thomas Tuchel wants from both of you. But looking at that Croatia game the other day, it looked like you were absolutely everywhere.
I don't know if the gaffer will want me everywhere. I'll bring energy to the game, and I'll try get on the ball as much as I can and get things ticking. And Dec's just ahead of me in that 8 position, and he brings so much to the team and helps me in my role as well. What is this partnership like? Because he was waxing lyrical about you, but he did say it's only really a relatively new relationship. Yeah, I was just about to say it's we're still building. I think it's a great relationship we've got going, but we've probably only been doing it for a year, so we're still building, we're still getting to know each other, but no, he's unbelievable to play alongside, and I think he brings out the best in me. I don't know if you really realised in the moment of the game, but basically the whole midfield changed during that second half, but you stayed on. Are you realising your importance to this England team? Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I just sort of, just every minute I'm on the pitch, I'm trying to help, I'm trying to make a difference and give the energy that I know I can bring. And we've got so much quality within the group to bring players on. And Reece came alongside me in the 6, and I jumped up to the 8, and we had obviously Morgan in the 10. And I think all the subs that came on sort of made a massive difference, and one of the goals was all 4 subs involved in it, and it was brilliant. Does that show how fluid England can be? Because it certainly looked like that at times. Yeah, definitely. I think it's a 90-minute game, and we can't drop our standards towards the later stages of the game, and the subs will come on and bring the energy and bring the quality as well. So it was a great goal. You mentioned when Reece was playing alongside you as well, that did enable you to get forward a little bit more. Do you enjoy that? Yeah, I do. As I say, back a few years ago, that was, even for Forest this season, that's been my role as well going forward. And obviously here it's a little bit different, but at times when I'm allowed to be free, I like that too as well.
Elliot Anderson there, and whilst you were listening to that on this grey day in Foxborough as the rain falls, they turned the sprinklers on, which is much needed.
I think you'll find that will be FIFA protocol, that every game has to be exactly the same, hence the hydration breaks as well.
Looking forward to the hydration breaks today?
Yeah, I'm going to ask for a hot chocolate when they bring that round. When you listen, Steph Horton, to Elliot Anderson there, in an era where and it came up in the interview, where we talk 6 or 8s or 10s when it comes to midfielders, he's just a complete midfielder, isn't he? He's a throwback.
Yeah, it's crazy to see that in his career, and it's only been a short career at the highest level so far from that. He can adapt to any role that a manager asks of him. I think he's a bit of a jack of all trades. I think to be that 6, it takes a lot of tactical awareness to be able to get on the ball and start players, but to then push a little bit further in the 8 and try and get in the box. For me, I think we've got a great player in our hands, and I think the more he gets experience, exposure at the highest level against the best players, he's only going to get better.
But part of that development, Phil, has been from being a winger, being an attacker when he started out.
Yeah, I remember at Newcastle he was coming in off the left wing or sort of getting chucked in his early days. I don't think they actually wanted to sell him. I think it was more of I don't know, PSR, whatever you want to call it these days. I think they had to sell him, obviously, as a homegrown. So I think they were a little bit reluctant to get rid of him. But as Steph said, it's not only he's a good footballer, but your brain's got to think totally different. When you're that 6, you've obviously got to think a little bit more defensive, and you can't sort of vacate the middle of the pitch. But then he probably wants to, because he's got the ability to go forward, a bit like obviously Declan Rice does. So yeah, maybe he was quite excited when obviously Rice went off and he was allowed off his leash a little bit more for the latter part of the game. But no, there's some player there, and I actually quite like the way he speaks as well. He's very down to earth. It seems like he fully understands where he is and obviously the massive opportunity he's got playing for England. But he seems like he's just taking it in his stride.
That's quite a shift though, isn't it, Paul? I mean, that is a positional shift to go from attacking out wide to being a midfielder who is as aware defensively as he is.
Well, I think when you look at his stats just from last season, you're talking about a player that used to be a winger playing in that holding defensive role. Yet last season, of anyone in the Premier League, the most touches, the most duels and the most possession won in a Forest shirt. And he's missed only one Premier League game in 2 seasons. So you look at the durability of him as well, and you look at the ways he's been able to adapt. And I liken him in a way to Steven Gerrard, because I played with Steven, and Steven's one of the best all-round footballers that I've played with. If your left back didn't turn up, he could play there. Your right back didn't turn up, he could play there. He was one of the most versatile, quality footballers wherever he was on the pitch. And Elliot Anderson is moulded into something like that. And let's not forget, he's still only 22 years of age.
So what are the similarities then, if you compare him to a man you played with in Gerrard?
His positional sense, his reading of the game, his defensive responsibility, but his ability to turn the 6 into an 8, if you like. He sees a forward pass, he knows when to keep the ball and when to play the ball sideways, but he's very, very intelligent, and he realises when he needs to turn defence into attack. But he's also got the engine to be able to run with the ball and change defence into attack, as well as playing that pass. He's got very, very good game awareness.
Paul, Phil, talks about his stats in the Premier League last season. You just look at his stats from the Croatia game. He was first for possession won. This is out of both sides. First for most interceptions, first for duels won, first for high intensity pressures, first for passes under high intensity pressures.
Yeah, he played pretty well, didn't he? No, but he just seems so comfortable again. They found a role for him. We were desperate to find someone to link up with. Obviously Rice, at the time we were looking obviously at Bellingham, obviously Rodgers coming and done well as a 10 as well, so we're looking for that missing cog in the middle of the midfield, and he's seen an opportunity, and he maybe's been clever enough to not want to say change his game, but develop his game to make sure he was going to get an opportunity to play for England in that position. Exactly what Robbo says, like he's got literally every aspect of the game. He can carry the ball, he can pass the ball, he can, like I say, play short passes, long passes. He doesn't always just look for the little sideways one, and he is getting better defensively, tracking runners, etc. like that, and for someone, as you said, who used to play left wing or number 10, probably a bit like Nico O'Reilly that used to play as a 10, now he's playing left back. We've got these players that are so clever when it comes to learning a new position, and you've got to take hat off not only to them but the coaches that they've been in and around over the course of these last couple of years that have made them into the players that we're hopefully going to be watching for many, many years.
Declan Rice spoke about him. He said his season at Forest was incredible. There's lots of speculation around him. He fully deserves what's coming to him. He's calm, he's level-headed, he's humble, always works and pays off in the end. He deserves it all. Steph, would you break the British transfer record for him?
I would actually, mainly because of all the reasons that Declan Rice has said. I think you're speaking of Declan Rice, who probably was the best midfielder in the Premier League this season, who's speaking so highly of Elliot Anderson, and I think what Jags has just said there in terms of that versatility but that intelligence to play a lot of positions, it becomes of an interest to different clubs because of that. And also at 22 years of age, playing in his first World Cup and the season that he's had, he's only going to get better. And Chappers, what I love about him is he's just so humble. I think no matter when Kelly interviewed him or whoever else he's being interviewed by, he knows that he can get better. He's striving to learn off the best players around him, and he's got great players in terms of Rice and Bellingham in that midfield area where he is only ever going to develop, and under Tuchel as well, he's known how to manage him over this last year.
Phil, would you break the British transfer record for him?
Well, I haven't got enough money to break the British transfer record. But if I was in charge of a club, but again, it's just going to get silly now, isn't it? I think obviously with him being at Forest, you're probably going to have to double the British transfer record to get him out of there. So I think he'd be worth it. I think if you're looking around about 100 million at the moment, I think a lot of clubs would, who could afford it, would be interested.
The reports are they want 125 million for him. Would you pay it, Paul?
I think when you're a club the size of Manchester City that he's heavily linked to, and you've got those financial resources and you're able to spend that, if you are able to get ahead of the game and ideally weaken other opponents, stop other people getting him, and absolutely you would pay for that for a quality player of his level. Because let's not forget, Bernardo Silva leaving Manchester City this season, Rodri, there's talk with his injury problems, they're going to need to address that position in the coming 12-18 months. So to get ahead of the game and do it now, you are going to have to pay over the odds, especially after the season that he's had.
That is becoming the going rate, isn't it? £100 million plus for the very best central midfielders, whether you're talking about Declan price, 105 million. Caicedo at Chelsea. Enzo Fernandez at Chelsea.
Would you pay that for him, bearing in mind you paid $45 for a sausage bat?
I'd make sure I got a receipt.
Yesterday, Messi, Mbappe and Haaland all continued their flying starts to the World Cup. Cristiano Ronaldo came to the party earlier. He got 2 against Uzbekistan. So this afternoon here at Boston, it's all about Harry Kane. Here's Alan Shearer on the England captain.
Everything that France do is built around Kylian Mbappe. Look at Argentina. Everything Argentina do is built around Messi. Everything Norway do is built around Haaland. And I think we've now got a manager. I'm not saying Gareth didn't, but I think this manager maybe understands Harry's game more than most because he's managed him before. He knows how to get the best out of him. And I think this England team is perfectly set up for Harry Kane, just like the other countries are for their big hitters, for their world superstars, and Harry is ours. So why wouldn't you? If you've got a guy that's banging in 60-odd goals in a season, why wouldn't you build the team up for him to do what he needs, what he wants? If England are going to win this World Cup, there's no doubt about it that Harry Kane's going to have to fire us the goals to be there. So why wouldn't you build a team up that is set up for him and set up to be successful? And the really promising thing for me the other night is, and I know there's an excitement now, and I get it, and I understand that. But one of the big things for me to take from the other night is how the energy was used to get past Harry when he chose to come deep. To play those forward passes. That was the good thing for me because he wasn't fit 2 years ago in the Euros.
Do you think he's a better player than 2 years ago?
Yes, I do, yeah. I think he looks fitter, which is bizarre because when you're getting into your 30s, you know what happens. He looks stronger and I think he looks more confident, and I think he's got a belief in himself and a belief in the team that's around him, that this team can go deep.
Alan Shearer talking to me a little earlier on. Do you think this team is built more around him, Steph, than say the one of a couple of years ago?
Potentially, Chappers. I think when we spoke about profile of players, you look at likes of Jed Spence in terms of Tuchel speaking about he's a different profile of player to O'Reilly. I do feel as though, especially the wingers that he's picked tonight in terms of Madueke and Gordon, they are players that are absolutely rapid first and foremost. But I think in this team, I think Harry Kane knows exactly what striker he wants to be, and his strengths is, of course, scoring, but dropping in a little bit deeper, but being able to spray the passes and being a bit of a decoy for players like Madueke and Gordon. I think it suited Madueke more on that right-hand side. Against Croatia, I think he got in a lot more than Gordon, and when Rashford came on, it opened up a little bit more because Croatia was trying to get back into the game. But I do feel as though there's a better understanding what Kane can bring to the team, and it's not necessarily seen as a negative thing that he's dropping a little bit deeper. It opens up different spaces and asks the defences different questions.
It's exactly what he did in the Croatia game. I mean, you could see it inside the stadium when we talk about him dropping in. At times, they've worked on a move where he drops in and he actually picks it up off Jordan Pickford. But you mentioned Madueke there, who's getting in quite often, quite more than Anthony Gordon, because Kane would drop in and he's naturally right-footed, so he shifts it out to that side. So with his back to goal, that's the side that he naturally graduates to, and that's why Madueke was having so much of the ball in the first half and was so much of a threat. But that's become a big part of England's plan. Kane dropping in and the two wingers getting in behind him.
But that's very well coordinated, that, Phil, isn't it? You know, it's if Harry Kane drops into this space, Madueke, Gordon, you need to know where you're going to be. And it just so happened that against Croatia, most of England's stuff went down their right.
Yeah, I think obviously, as Robbo says, it's sometimes easier when you're a right-footed striker to turn onto your sort of turn left and then kick it right if you sort of understand to the right wing. But I think that's another point about Bellingham as well. I think Jude's got to realise the fact is that, not saying the team is totally, built around Harry Kane, but if that's going to be the case, he may be the guy that has to make those runs to give Kane a bit more space, to potentially be put in, maybe to end up being the striker. You look at his second goal, look at the third goal, that he scores. He is basically a running number 10, which he might have to end up being a little bit more for England to make sure he stays in the squad and to be a bit more lethal for us as well. So yeah,
do you think
do
you think his versatility has changed, Bellingham's? Do you think he's understood what Tuchel now wants from him?
I think the difficult thing with Bellingham is obviously we hyped him up and he had a fantastic start, and he's obviously early part of his career. Sometimes it's not easy when you're not the first person sort of to be looked for, if that makes sense. Where obviously when Harry drops in now, the team sort of depends on him linking the game, and now you don't want everyone in the same area linking the game, or else it's not going to work out. So for Bellingham, sometimes, he will have to do a unselfish run, or maybe run to a position he doesn't really want to be in, but it's for the better part of the team. So it's a lot nicer when you do that. You get the ball played to you and you score a goal. It's not as nice. I suppose it wasn't quite as nice for Gordon, who probably ran around the most in that first half, and the bit of the second half before he got subbed off, closing down and working really hard for the team, and didn't really get the balls Madueke get. But again, that's what the squad needs, the team needs. I'm sure tonight he'll hope Kane turns more to his left and slings a few more balls down his side. But that is how good the England team is. We're not one-dimensional, and as much as people probably think we are because we rely so much on Harry Kane, we have got a lot of, obviously, weapons in our artillery. Just at the moment, Harry Kane seems to be the one setting most of them off.
Because there was a sort of discussion, wasn't there, Steph, that Anthony Gordon didn't really get into the game against Croatia, but the flip of that is they didn't really give him much opportunity to get into the game.
No, and sometimes it happens like that, in terms of one side of the player just gets a lot more of the ball, and I think for Gordon, he's occupying different defenders, he's occupying different players for the likes of Bellingham, Madueke, sometimes Rice, to get in behind Harry Kane. And I think that's part and parcel of, when we say being patient, sometimes it's when you haven't got the ball, it's about stretching the pitch and getting the chalk on your boots by keeping the player wide. And I think for Gordon, hopefully it's a bit of a better game in terms of his involvement with the ball today, especially if we're going to play against a back five.
Steph, Phil, for the time being, thank you very much. Steph Horton, Phil Jagielka with us this evening here on 5 Live. The flags have been unfurled down on the Foxborough turf. Down below us, that big globe is over the centre circle as well, as the two sides come out of that tunnel away to our right in the far corner of this stadium and walk down that touchline, and very soon to go past the advertising hoarding that has the venue of Boston on it in blue letters against a gold background. England's second game of this World Cup. You can also watch this on BBC One this evening, which means all you have to do, if you would like to, is hit the red button. I'll go on to the iPlayer and you can actually choose John and Paul's commentary along with the pictures from BBC Television, and it will all be synced for you automatically. So we are ready to go under leaden skies. The rain has stopped for the time being. England against Ghana with former England goalkeeper Paul Robinson, and first of all John Murray.
Yes, thank you, Mark. Lovely to have you with us here inside the home of the New England Patriots. And looking down on the side of the pitch, speaking of being patriotic, I noticed that the two sets of coaches have, as FIFA said they would, at Thomas Tuchel's request, Thomas Tuchel, Anthony Barry and the rest of his staff have moved right over to the left. So they are standing to one side of the photographers. So Thomas Tuchel will be able to see his England team sing the national anthem. The players have arrived from the opposite side of the pitch. We have the huge flag of Ghana as we look here from our very lofty position to the right of the halfway line, and the huge Cross of St George flag to the left. And just finally now, all of the squad members from both teams have completed their lineup around that blue and gold carpet which has FIFA World Cup 2026 written on it, and we are ready for the anthems.
For the playing of the national anthem of England.
and so much of the stadium is red and white.
Please remain standing if you're able for the playing of the national anthem of Ghana.
And then the players move together to shake hands with the officials. The referee today from Honduras, Said Martinez. It is his second match at this World Cup. The first time a referee from Honduras has officiated at a World Cup Finals tournament. And the Ghana players in their yellowy golden kit, tracksuit tops, are walking all along the England line. The England team for their second match at World Cup 2026 is Jordan Pickford, Reece James, Ezri Konsa, Mark Gay and Jed Spence. So Gay and Spence coming into the team for Stones and O'Reilly. Spence at left back becomes the first Muslim man to play for England at a major tournament. And I know when we spoke to him when he made his debut back in Belgrade in September how proud he was of being a Muslim man playing for England. In midfield, Anderson and Rice with Jude Bellingham, who wins his 50th cap. He'll be the youngest man to win 50 caps for England, the first 22-year-old man to win 50 caps for England. And then Noni Madueke and Anthony Gordon keeping their places either side of the captain Harry Kane, who wins his 116th cap tonight, which means he's third on the list of England appearances, just ahead now of David Beckham. And the Ghana team just gathering for their photograph. Benjamin Asari plays in goal because Lawrence Atezigi picked up that injury in their first match, the win against Panama. So Asari, who is Ghana-based, plays for the Hearts of Oak club, 33, nearly 34 years old. He comes in to start, having come on as a substitute in the first match. And then we'll see how they line up, but we've been given a lineup of Sanaya, Ajeti and Opoku as the three central offenders. Yerenchi, who scored against Panama very late on as the right wing back, Mensah on the left, then Sibo and Thomas Partey starting for Ghana, with Antoine Semenyo and Jordan Ayew, familiar names in the wide positions, and then Iñaki Williams of Athletic Club of Bilbao up front. And just to explain on Thomas Partey, for those who don't know, that he is currently facing trial in the United Kingdom. He is accused of 7 charges of rape, 1 of sexual assault, to which he has pleaded not guilty. You may know that he was denied entry to Canada for their first match. There was an error in the documentation, and I mention that now because you may well hear a reaction when Thomas Partey is in possession of the ball, and that will explain it. So, Paul Robinson, what about it? For England, if they win, they will be through to the knockout stages, but the same applies to Ghana.
First of all, what a wonderful occasion again inside this superb stadium. England very, very well supported by the England supporters away to our left, in very, very good voice, and they were excellent in the last game. But for England as well, we know Harry Kane's spoken to the team about winning that second game and getting some type of momentum. You know, their second game hasn't always proved the most fruitful for them in recent tournaments, and I think for them, after the Croatia performance, anything less than another win today, people may start thinking, oh, okay, maybe that Croatia game was a one-off. A convincing win today, or a win of any kind today, keeps the momentum going.
Paul Robinson, who played for England at the World Cup, 41 caps, sitting to my left. Declan Rice is over the ball in the centre circle. And here we are in this amazing stadium, the home of the New England Patriots in Massachusetts, about 30 miles from central Boston. in relatively cool temperatures. It can only be 20 degrees or so. So playing in New England, it's like being in Old England. But it is England against Ghana, only the second time in a senior men's international. Both won their opening matches. We've had the countdown, and the referee is just preparing now. In fact, he's just making sure that everyone is the right side of the halfway line. And now the countdown to kick-off, which I'm sure by now you're getting used to. And here we go. Declan Rice looking down at the ground, his 75th cap for England tonight, and Declan Rice kicks off and plays the ball all the way back to Jordan Pickford. 86 caps for him tonight, and a long clearance from the England goalkeeper up towards the edge of the penalty area that is thumped away. And already, Paul, you're suggesting to me that Ghana are indeed with a back four.
Yeah, there was a little bit of cloak and dagger about their lineup and how they were going to shape up. The coach alluded in his press conference that they may revert to a 5, but they're looking very much like an orthodox 4-4-2. Semenyu's going to play upside alongside Ayew, and Iñaki Williams out on the right hand side, and Sibo down here on the left. But yeah, they're very much a structured 4-4-2.
And Urenchi suggested that he might be the right wing back, but he is in midfield. And he's one of the highly rated stars. They say that Caleb Urenchi, who's been playing for Nord-Jylland, he's only 20 years old, but they say he's got a touch of the Michael Essien about him, and if he has, then he won't be bad. So England, white shirts, blue shorts and white socks for this second match in possession, and the ball is played to Reece James, who comes into a midfield position from his right back role. Then Jude Bellingham, the number 10, dropping deep, as I say, winning his 50th cap tonight, and England have possession on the halfway line. England 0, Ghana 0. This is 5 Live from the BBC, with rain pitter-pattering on our heads here. Grey skies above. There may well be more rain on the way. I can see some very threatening looking clouds away to the right over a massive forest, with England in possession in the centre circle. Thomas Tuchel just comes to the edge of his coaching area. All of those photographers have been cleared away now, and England enjoying a feel of the ball, and this might well be setting the pattern for the match, with Ghana sitting right off England and allowing them possession, as Jed Spence gets a touch, his first appearance at a major tournament from the start for England, after coming on as right back the other day against Croatia, and Jed Spence again passes it back to Mark Gay, who's playing in a World Cup for the first time for England, having narrowly missed out 4 years ago for the tournament in Qatar, but being such a big part of things for Gareth Southgate's team in Germany 2 years ago at the Euros. Here's Noni Madueke now on the right hand side, but back it goes. Very patient approach from England, and Esri Konsa again, the central defenders just exchanging passes.
I think for anyone that saw the Spain-Saudi Arabia game last weekend, this game's very early stages, but it's set up in a very similar way. Spain very much dominated that game, and it was about being patient, taking the time and taking their chances and trying to pull the opposition's defence out of positions. England at the moment currently just rotating possession in the midfield, and they're going to have movement. It's going to be down to the likes of Madueke, Bellingham, Anthony Gordon running from deep. We talked about Harry Kane dropping in, but they're going to have to try and pull Ghana out of shape.
Well, there's a long pass from Gay out to Reece James on the right hand side. The players are way down below our very, very high position here, but the stadium is so steeply banked, this stand is very, very steep, that it does feel as though you are close to the action. Now Madueke again, almost with his heels on the white line, taking on the defender down into the full-back position, but then cuts back. There's a suggestion there of a little trick from him, but he plays it back to his former club mate Reece James behind him. James has passed, that's good. Now Bellingham moving infield, Bellingham at the outside of his boot, but that pass is way behind Declan Rice, and that's straight out of play for a throw. And the Ghanaian fans, who have not filled their section, there are lots of empty blue seats in the two main sections where the Ghana fans are, but there's still probably, 1,500, 2,000 of them. A huge cheer for that error from England, the error for Bellingham, and it's out for a throw to Ghana.
It was just unfortunate from Jude Bellingham. It was the start of a promising move. It's exactly what England would have to do. Reece James with the ball, what we say is they broke the lines, and he did. He put it in between the defence and the midfield, and Bellingham had taken up a really good position.
And here is Mensah on the left-hand side, but England are able to deal with that. Mensah and Williams looking to link up there. Iñaki Williams, who didn't play in the first match, he's not had the best of seasons, the number 19, as what have you spotted? Ball played over the top. The offside flag is up, even though it's stabbed goalwards and it bounces wide. and behind for a goal kick.
It was the boos for Thomas Partey. You were absolutely right before the game, John. The England fans, as soon as he got the ball in possession, roundly booed him. Long ball over the top there from Ghana. Ayew had made the run. He certainly hasn't got the pace that he used to have, Jordan Ayew. And the England defence held a high line and it didn't trouble them.
England 0, Ghana 0. As Reece James just plays the ball back into his own half again. England represented, this England team represented by 10 different club sides in a starting 11. First time that's happened at a major tournament since 1962, to have 10 different clubs represented in the starting lineup. Madueke now forward to Bellingham, who claimed that he was shoved in his back. No free kick given. Then Noni Madueke goes down, and that is a free kick after he was challenged by Kwasi Sibo, another of the 4 players who've come into this Ghana starting lineup. So it's a free kick for England in a good position, Paul.
They're playing on the left-hand side, Sibo. I expected him to play on the right with Inaki Williams on the left, but actually they've switched over. They've clearly showed already, Ghana, that they're not going to be afraid to snap into challenges.
So a free kick, first opportunity. We saw Declan Rice providing for Harry Kane for the header against Croatia, and Rice is standing over the ball. The rain just increasing now as Declan Rice, it's a 2-man Ghana wall. It's a very sort of pale yellowy gold kit that Ghana are in at this World Cup to the naked eye. Lots of movement near the penalty spot. Rice curls it in, but it is headed comfortably away for Ghana. Rice. Then Madueke has given it away. Jordan Ayew, the Ghana captain, his pass is cut out by Gordon on the halfway line, the returning Gordon. And Reece James is able to catch that ball near the edge of his penalty area.
Yeah, slightly sloppy from England, and that's the last thing that they can afford to do in those type of areas, because that's where the Ghana trap will be set. That's where they'll be looking for the turnover of possession and to try and counter-attack England. The concentration has got to remain for England.
0-0, and England playing the ball forward. Anderson slips over as he does so. They did water the pitch remarkably before the match, but I think, as you suggested, they probably have to do that before every game. But the rain that we had in here yesterday was absolutely torrential. As England take a quick throw, Kane swings the ball out from left to right. Madueke takes that down. Madueke back onto his left foot and then back towards the halfway line. I know this is exactly what England were expecting coming into this match. They knew that they would have to be patient, and it might be tricky breaking down Ghana, ranked 65th in the world. Ball played up for Bellingham. There's a challenge on him, and he goes down. It might have been an arm that caught him across the face from Apoku, who came in with the challenge as he went down. Well, he certainly clutched his face. Was there an arm in his face?
There looked to be an arm in the face. I don't think either player knew that the other one was arriving, in all honesty. I think there's a good strong coming together. Jude Bellingham's asking the question. The referee's just stood talking to Jude Bellingham now, but he does feel that he was caught, Jude Bellingham.
Yeah, but it is only a free kick. Free kick just outside the penalty area. So 0-0. And incidentally, the Ghana team also represented by 10 different clubs. As this free kick is hit long downfield. Spence gets up, he heads it away. Gordon in on the challenge, Rice is there as well, but neither of them can take it on. Now the ball down the right hand side. Here comes the cross from Sanaya. In fact, it's a low ball into the penalty area, and that's just shepherded over the dead ball line and behind. But the first encouragement for Ghana coming forward, but with Sanaya it came to nothing.
Yeah, the right back there overlapping and getting into a decent position, but you can see from England's point of view, Elliot Anderson and Declan Rice are well versed on the counter-attack, so when they do lose possession, they both get back in. And at times in that Croatia game, we saw Elliot Anderson dropping in between the two centre-backs and making a back three at times. They're a very flexible system, this England side.
0-0, still only 8 minutes on the clock. Big cheer as on the massive screens. Some England supporters were focused in on. It was Mumford and Sons on the big screen.
Who's told you that?
Gary has.
I was going to say.
As England with Gordon down the left into the full-back position, but can't take it on. Ghana win it back, and it's cleared up towards Jordan Ayew, wins the header there against Gay, but there is cover from Konsa, who's able with his right foot to steer it back to Jordan Pickford. But I know that Mumford and Sons were playing at Fenway Park last night in Boston, and I imagine that a lot of the England fans will have had tickets for that, hence the big cheer when they saw them on the big screen. Here is Madueke, but that's a good challenge in on him, and it bounces out of play. Gideon Mensah was tight on Noni Madueke, and the throw-in is taken for England back towards the halfway line. Again, if you've joined the slate, England 0, Ghana 0. Declan Rice trying to take the ball on through the middle. Nice. Bellingham. Now Kane on the edge of the area. Back to Bellingham. Couldn't find a position. Too congested in there. First chance really that England have threatened inside the opposing penalty area.
Yeah, they got a lot of joy in the Croatia game by going into the wide areas, but that time it was an intricate piece of play in the middle of the pitch, just on the edge of the 18-yard box. Harry Kane finds Jude Bellingham, snuffed out in the end, but a positive piece of play from England.
Yeah, Mumford and Sons are here. The Human League played in Dallas on the eve of England's first match. So we'll have to have a look and see who's playing on the eve of the match in New Jersey against Panama, won't we? Here's Konza out to the right-hand side to Madueke. Not that we'll have time to go, of course. Madueke back to Konza. Konza, then Anderson. This is tight passing, little triangles from England. I noticed quite a number of the umbrellas have gone up down in front of us, which tells you that the rain is increasing in strength. As Anderson again finds that pass to Madueke on the right-hand side. One of the two Arsenal players in this England starting lineup. Madueke's cross headed away. Ayew couldn't keep possession, and then Madueke again. It's mainly come down the right so far, but the pace isn't quite there because of the fact that Ghana are playing in such a defensive pattern in the early stages of this match. Here is Spence. Thomas Tuchel says the fastest man in this England squad. Declan Rice again, the vice-captain. And then Mark Gay taking the place of John Stones in the starting lineup. And then Anderson with his pass out to the right-hand side. Madueke again in a very wide position, almost right on the white line. He gets that down. He's trying to find the position. Lovely ball into James. James with the cross. He cut back it was. Gordon tried to get there, but the defender got there first and it was cleared away. And that's the first time England have cut open Ghana.
And that's the first time in this game that Reece James has got round the outside of Madueke. Madueke's found it difficult so far because Gideon Mensah's got really tight to him and thwarted the threat, and he's had to come back inside. But that time he gets the space. Reece James, the fullback, gets around and gets into the box. Well defended in the end, but positive again from England.
As Reece James has it once more, 0-0, but England finding joy there, back in the centre circle already today. As you may have heard, Portugal 5-0 winners against Uzbekistan. If England win the group, they may well face the third place team in that group. But that all has to be ironed out. Here's Gordon, 25 yards from goal. That was a heavy challenge from behind. It is a free kick to England again. Another good position, this time over towards the left.
Yeah, clumsy challenge there from right back Sanaya. Gordon tucking inside that time. We spoke before the show about the wingers and the width that they had about getting chalk on the boots, but once or twice when Anthony Gordon's been involved, he's cut in and he's done well there. Back to goal. It was a really clumsy challenge. No real need to make that challenge, but gives England an opportunity, especially with this slick pitch, to have a strike on goal from distance. There's a few takers. There's a couple of conversations going on whether it's just too far away for a strike or not.
Well, Reece James had a goal from round about this range the other day, didn't he, against Croatia? Probably a little bit further out. But it looks as though, well, Gordon is standing there, Rice is there as well, the three of them in conversations. Gordon has got his arm around Reece James's shoulders. You know, that brilliant free kick that he scored against Latvia in Thomas Tuchel's second match, that was swerving all over the place, but that was over towards the right-hand side. However, it does kind of look as though James might be the favourite to take this. A very long Ghana wall. 4 in it, 5 in it. It's tapped short. Rice is going to have a goal, which he does, but it flies away over the top of the crossbar, and Benjamin Asari in the goal just sort of limply raised an arm as it flew away, probably by a couple of yards over the top.
Well, the intricate free kicks and set play that we see, that was the good old-fashioned roll to the side and smash it on target. Reece James just rolls it on the sole of his foot into the path of Declan Rice, just leaning back, gets up and under it. I don't think it would trouble the goalkeeper. It was on target anyway because it was far too straight. But again, for England, good possession in a good area.
And the news is that on the eve of the England-Panama match, who's playing in New York among others? Barry Manilow. As Harry Kane goes up and is caught on the head in an aerial challenge, and the England captain has gone down clutching the left side of his head after a jetty jumped with him. And after Kane got his head to the ball, a jetty, it was a clash of heads.
Yeah, it was a genuine attempt to play the ball, I think, but it's left Harry Kane in a lot of pain there. I think the central defender had his eyes clearly on the ball. And there was a big clash of heads there in the middle of the park. A really tough one for Kane, but he looks to be okay. He's asking the referee, Harry Kane.
Yes, he is. and he is on his feet. It is a clash of heads, but there's no... The physios are not coming on, because you know what that would mean. He'd have to leave the field for a minute, but it is a clash of heads.
Yeah. He's got up and clearly declared himself that he's okay and fully fit very quickly. It'd take a lot to take Harry Kane off the pitch, though, wouldn't it?
Well, it would, but there are protocols, as we know. Quarter of an hour played. England 0, Ghana 0. Not really too much in terms of clear-cut chances created at either end. Oh, excellent Rice in on a challenge there. Angles it back. Gordon, he plays it across. Anderson with the chance. That was deflected all the way across the penalty area and then scrambled away, hooked away in the end by Mensah, and out of play for a throw. Excellent from Rice.
Yeah, real determination to win the ball. He was the second favourite going into that challenge. Not only did he win the first, won the second, and then found his midfield partner in the end, Elliot Anderson. Once again, real good, clear determination from Declan Rice.
England dominating possession, but as predicted, as forecast, Ghana are proving difficult to break down, but they are finding a little bit of joy. Here's Gordon now on the left-hand side. Still Gordon ahead of Rashford. I'm sure we'll see him later. Gordon one way then the other. Plays it back to Elliot Anderson. Then back to Anthony Gordon. Good run from Jed Spence. Spence cuts it back. Only half cleared. Rice from the angle. Then that is blocked behind by the right foot of Ajeti. And it's a corner to England there first.
Got to the byline there, Jed Spence, like he did when he came on as a substitute in the Croatia game. On his left foot this time, he just looks up and he puts the ball into an area rather than tries to find a teammate. Ball deflects off a Ghana defender, comes to Declan Rice on his left foot, manages to get a little bit of space for a shot, but it was too tight and it was a good block in the end.
England 0, Ghana 0. Kit Harington was picked out by the TV cameras in a very plush looking New England Patriots box. Don't know if Barry Manilow's here. They'll find out. I'm sure they'll find him if he is. It's a corner then for England. Big moment. Rice. England have already scored from one corner at this World Cup. Rice, right-footed, curls it in. Konza, but no, Ghana head gets to it first, only half cleared away. And Ghana have been able to deal with that corner. Had a lovely bend on it, that delivery. A high whip, curling bend to the back post. He was looking for Konza, but Ghana did their job.
Yeah, he's got a real quality of delivery, Declan Rice. We've seen it with Arsenal this season. Love or loathe what they've done, but a lot of their joy from set plays is because of his delivery.
Reece James now on the right, receives it from Bellingham, holds off the challenge. His cross, James, that's headed away on the edge of the box by Yurinchi. And then the referees, well, he's given a free kick to Ghana, who are breaking away. Konza's complaining about that. I see Thomas Tuchel as well down on the touchline. Somebody's given him a baseball cap and a coat as well, with this rain in the air. It is raining gently raining on the New England Patriots stadium. Free kick to Ghana, and a rare spell of possession for them. Yep, the New England Patriots, the 6 banners are hanging high above the screen, that massive rectangular screen to our right, the 6 times that they have been world champions. Ball over the top. We've not seen Antoine Semenyo at all in the match, and that's a foul on Mark Gay, who was shielding the ball as he was being chased after by Iñaki Williams, and Gay wins the free kick.
Yeah, good piece of defending, Gay, and that's the advantage of having a left-footed central defender playing that side, because when the ball is there, it's a natural position for him to take up, and we know how quick that Gay is.
Yes, we had the 5 banners, didn't we, at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium?
There was.
With the world champions on, but 6 banners here for the New England Patriots.
What's the most it's ever been won, John? Do you know?
I don't know. Is it 6? Ball back towards the halfway line. Konza to Mark Gay. Now Jed Spence. And Gay again just gets the ball onto his right foot. His 31st cap for England. Mark Gay, a Manchester City man now, FA Cup winner, even though he was knocked out in the 3rd round, Paul, when we saw him at Macclesfield.
Well, at least we had a roof over our heads at Macclesfield, didn't we?
well done everyone in Macclesfield. Roof in Macclesfield, no roof in the New England Patriots stadium. But Konza in possession, back into the centre circle. Anderson then moves the ball across from right to left, and then Jed Spence back again towards Elliot Anderson. England absolutely dominating the possession. Gay walking forward with the ball. Konza again. Gay is then fouled by Jordan Ayew, who just got a touch of the ball, but touch on Gay as well as he did so.
And they've offered nothing, Ghana, going forward. The odd long ball over the top, which England have dealt with very comfortably, but they've got to the 20-minute mark with their goal still intact, and that will have been their first aim in this game.
It will. But here now, Reece James with a cross, but that's too close to Benjamin Asari, all in pink, who's able to drop forward, clutch the ball into his chest, and another huge cheer from the Ghana fans in their yellow shirts in the stands, the fans of the Black Stars, as they call them. See Carlos Queiroz, I think it's the first time we've seen him outside of his dugout, the 73-year-old former Manchester United assistant manager to Sir Alex Ferguson. Another stoppage in play after a clash of heads. Reece James is the England man who has gone down, and I think that might be Jordan Ayew who is down there as well, and both of it. And now the referee saying yes, for that collision the physios are waved onto the field.
Yeah, I think that was almost a similar one to Harry Kane's, but I think that was a more accidental one. Jordan Ayew's eyes fixed on the ball, went into the back of Reece James, and both players laid flat on the back at the moment, receiving treatment.
So we're going to have a lengthy break here, aren't we? Because by the time they receive treatment, it's going to be time for the first hydration break of the game, I would suspect, even though the players have actually now come across and 4 of them are having a drink, and the rest of the England outfield players and the Ghana players are doing the same. I mean, the sensible thing for the referee to do here would be to say, let's have the hydration break now. However, I have a suspicion that television adverts are lined up for a certain point.
He's trying to get them all back on.
And the referee is saying now to the players, you've got to come back on. You've got to come away from the side of the pitch. And the Honduran referee is waving them back on, both hands. So they've all had a drink. Jordan Ayew and Reece James are still receiving treatment. They're just getting to their feet. They're going to come off the field. And by the time they both come off the field, and actually Jordan Ayew has got a pack being held to the back of his head. So there have to be a question about whether he's going to be okay to continue.
Reece James is still flat.
Reece James is still flat on his back. And by the time they get this sorted out, it will be time for the hydration break on a day when the last thing we need in this stadium, with a temperature of about 20 degrees, with rain coming down, is a hydration break.
Definitely don't need any more water today, John, that is for sure. But I think obviously there are cities, and we've spoken about this so many times, that the temperatures, that a hydration break is going to be needed, and it's only fair across the board that coaches get the opportunity, in every game, because those that play in the hotter climates, and the coaches will say that play in the air conditioning or the cooler cities, they will say that they're at a disadvantage because they don't get to speak to their players halfway through.
Yeah, however, there's going to be some major booing when Reece James, he's now got to his feet. There's going to be some major booing from the stands here if the next thing that happens is a hydration break. But there has to be a question over Reece James here, because that's lengthy treatment. It was a clash of heads. Where's Jordan Ayew? Is he still on the side of the pitch? He must be. So they may be looking at him out of our sight. Reece James is now being led off the field. I mean, he's been passed okay to continue. And the referee is going to drop the ball, and he's saying to Reece James, you have to leave the pitch, which Reece James is now doing. He's going to drop the ball to Sebo. We've got 23 minutes on the clock. There we go. He's dropped the ball, and Ghana play on. And Reece James is sent back onto the field. And Ghana have possession in the central third. Yeah, Jordan Ayew, I see him now, he's being bandaged up. He's having a bandage put on his head, so there's obviously blood there. And the Ghana captain is going to come back onto the field with a bandage on his head. Ball is not kept in on the far side by Spence. It's a throw into Ghana, level with the edge of the England penalty area. It's 0-0 if you've just switched on.
I noticed there a real piece of leadership and experience there from Declan Rice. Reece James was off the field, so he sent Enzri Konza to the right hand side, to the right fullback position, and he dropped in and filled in as centre back and tucked Elliot Anderson in front of him. It was only for a short space of time, but an intelligent piece of football.
Still no hydration break. 24 minutes on the clock as England have possession. Jordan Ayew is now back on the field. The Ghana number 9, the 34-year-old. Long pass for England, looking for Spence. That is headed away by Mensah. Ayew has 2 England players on either side of him. England are able to win back possession. Elliot Anderson back into the centre circle to Mark Gay, who'll just roll the ball out towards the left-hand side to Jed Spence. Now here's Anthony Gordon again, bundle of energy. Gordon's ball in towards the edge of the box. Sebo clears that away, but only up in the air. Rice is after this. The ball rattles around on the edge of the box. Sebo with the bleach blonde hair back to the edge of his penalty area, only half cleared away. Bellingham tries to get it down. It's a bit of a scruffy game, I must say. Bellingham, there's no space for England. They're doing their best, Ghana, to try and frustrate England, give them no space at all. Bellingham then square. Reece James out to Madueke on the right hand side. Madueke up against the defender onto his left foot, then plays it back. James puts his foot on the ball, but the cross into the penalty area is easily headed away and up towards Iñaki Williams, who might have been tugged back there, but there's no free kick, and England have got it back. But there's a foul on Elliot Anderson by Jordan Ayew, and that is a free kick to England, 10 yards inside the Ghana half. I thought I heard the whistle blow that.
They took it very quickly, and then they allowed play to go on. The referee, they put the ball down quickly. England have realised that they need to get the ball circulated. Yeah. The ball moves faster than players, and if you're going to try and pull players out of positions, is your favourite bit, John?
Listen to this. That's the loudest booing I've heard for a hydration break so far at this World Cup. In fact, it's almost drowning out the man with the deep voice. And the players come to the side of the pitch. 25 minutes played, and it's time for a hydration break, which in these circumstances, and you are right, Paul, that they do have to apply this across the board, they say, but this is preposterous.
It's not needed. I mean, 4 minutes ago we had that long stoppage in the game which could have been used, and because we have to have it at a certain time, once again, common sense is not always used.
And what people back home will not know is that when this happens on US TV, now it is a full-blown advert break. When I saw it for the first time, we were in Sundance Square, Paul, you and I were walking across, and as we walked into Sundance Square in Fort Worth, and the screen was on, and I said, is it half-time? And the adverts were on. Must have been 4 or 5 adverts. It is an absolute abomination.
You're going to love this 30-minute half-time break in the World Cup final, aren't you?
That is another thing. And Thomas Tuchel was absolutely right yesterday when he said this changes the character of the game.
It's against the law of the game. Ian Dennis was talking about it the other day. The 15-minute break is for half-time, and that's within the laws of football.
And as for the half an hour in the final of all matches. Anyway, water break, hydration break continues. Let's bring in Steph Houghton and Phil Jagielka are observing this match from back in the dry of the 5 Live studio. What do you think?
To be honest, John, I think England have been patient. I feel as though this hydration break has really stopped England getting to a rhythm, especially when you're playing against a team that wants to sit and wants to counter-attack. I feel as though we were getting Gordon into the game, Madueke was getting into the game, both full-backs were making really good runs in behind the back four, and this just stops the rhythm. So from an England point of view, I think we've had most of the possession. I think it's around 80% possession, but in terms of clear-cut chances, we just haven't really found that opening yet.
Yeah, I think it was exactly what we expected from the game. They were just going to sit behind. We thought they may go 5 at the back, but they've gone 4, then 5 in front. There's no space in the middle areas for the midfield, and as Steph said, we've got in behind them down the sides a couple of times, but haven't managed to put that sort of final delivery in and get a proper chance. But we have to be patient. We knew exactly what we expected from Ghana, and hopefully we can create a few more chances in the second part of this first half.
I know the last man who is receiving instructions, thanks to you two, we'll hear more from Steph and Phil at half-time, is Antoine Semenyo, who's barely touched the ball. Carlos Queiroz giving him some final instructions there.
But in this formation that Ghana are playing, when you've got a player like Antoine Semenyo, you have to find a way of getting him the ball. He's one of their only attacking outlets. Ayew hasn't got the pace to outrun this England defence, so they've got to find a way of getting out of how deep they are and getting Semenyo involved in the game so he can cause England problems, because going forward they've offered absolutely nothing, and they look like a team who haven't scored more than 1 goal in a game since October.
Just a piece of news, World Cup news, Didier Deschamps is going to miss France's final group match against Norway following the death of his mother, according to the French Football Federation. England with a pass from James, but Gordon can't keep that in, and it's out of play for a throw. 5 Live from the BBC. I hope you've got into the swing of taking the radio to bed with you and listening to the late night commentaries. Ghana clearing the ball away from their right back area, and then Gay and Konsa again in possession in the centre of the field. And this match as well, BBC TV match, if you're on your way home, you'll be able to listen to Guy Mowbray and Alan Shearer commentating on it. And there is also the option as well, via the red button or via the iPlayer, of watching the pictures with the 5 Live radio commentary, which I know some people find popular. Here's Pickford on the edge of the penalty area. Jordan Pickford winning his 86th cap tonight, and also his 28th consecutive appearance at a World Cup or a European Championship, which is extending the England record. Here is Gordon on the left-hand side. The challenge comes in on him, and then Gordon leans into Sanaya as he was trying to bring that away, and that is a free kick to Ghana halfway inside their own half.
Yeah, you can see that relationship down England's left, Jed Spence and Anthony Gordon. It's definitely work in progress. Obviously Jed Spence can play either side, but he's predominantly right-footed. Tried to go around the outside of Anthony Gordon there. The understanding between those two, you would hope, would grow within the game.
So not the thrills and spills by any means, Paul, yet of the opening match against Croatia, which is one of the best matches of the tournament so far.
Yeah, England approached that in a manner. I think the early goal, in all honesty, helped, John, and I think it showed that Croatia are actually susceptible, because before that goal went in, England had their nervy moments. They did look like they could concede at times, but that goal, the penalty, the retaken penalty from Harry Kane, I think that gave them the confidence to go on and believe that this Croatia team were beatable, and the way that England play, and they had them beaten.
Free kick to Ghana in the central third of the field. Mensah and Ayew were in, and free kick 5 yards inside the England half. Misplaced pass from Elliot Anderson just down there. Maybe just shows you that England a little frustrated.
That's one word I was just about to use, John. That's what they cannot afford to do. I mean, they are completely dominating this game. 31, 32 minutes into the game. Jordan Pickford, I don't think he's touched the ball with his gloves yet. I mean, they've been very, very dominant, England, but frustration, concentration, giving away possession in areas like this that give Ghana a free kick. They need to keep concentrated.
England with that very high line from the free kick that's played up towards the edge of their penalty area by Ayew, and then the referee spots a foul on, well, it was Gay who ended up on the ground, whether he was the player who was fouled. There were a whole cluster of them in there. I think it was a high arm on Mark Gay, and it is a free kick to England on the edge of the penalty area. England have never lost to African opposition at a World Cup, but as we know, under Thomas Tuchel they have been beaten by African opposition for the first time. That friendly match against Senegal at the end of last season. Here is Konsa. Famously, Ghana reaching the quarterfinals in South Africa. That's one of the most exciting World Cup matches I've ever commentated on. The famous Uruguay-Ghana match in Soccer City in Johannesburg. An amazing night. Luis Suarez with a handball on the line. That's their World Cup best. Ghana have gone out in the group stage of the last 2 World Cups they've gone to. England now with Konsa to Gay. We're into the last 15 minutes of the first half. Rice, arms swinging. The Arsenal Player of the Year, he was named last week for the second successive season. Plenty of competition for that this season. Here's Madueke down the right-hand side, his Arsenal teammate, but 3 players around him. Ricochets thought to Bellingham. Bellingham with a shot, but that was charged down. Comes back to Bellingham. 22 yards out, his pass square. Spence now will lift the ball actually behind Madueke, but he's able to get it down and then cut in field and then curl it in left-footed. Well, that again is dealt with by the Ghanaian defence, headed away by a Jetty, and then Mensah. England are all over him. He's trying, in fact he's won the free kick because Elliot Anderson just came in at pace all over his back. He went down and it's a free kick to Ghana, and it's still 0-0.
Yeah, Gideon Mensah, the Auxerre defender, the left back, he's done a decent job on Madueke so far. There's been such an avenue of joy for England against Croatia. They've seen that, the Ghanaians, and at times they've doubled up on him, but when Mensah's been left one-on-one, he's actually done a good defensive job. He's got close, he's got tight, and not allowed the England winger space.
Free kick to Ghana, 0-0. We'll have all the reaction to this on the Football Daily, just as we had a preview Football Daily this morning. Just search BBC Sounds for that on the free app. Anderson passing the ball out towards the left-hand side, and now Jed Spence. Off he goes with the ball to the halfway line, gives it to his left, and ahead of him to Anthony Gordon. Anthony Gordon up against Sanaya. Beats him. Right-footed ball in. But that's headed away on the edge of the box by Ajeti. Still England press, but that will be volleyed away downfield. And Jordan Pickford will deal with that all on his own, halfway inside the England half, as England turn and set off again over the halfway line.
That's better on the left-hand side that time. Jed Spence carrying the ball. Realised when he played the ball to Anthony Gordon, realised he had no space and that the England winger was going to cut back inside, so Spence stayed out of his space.
Gordon had half a chance there as well, but again the tackle came in on him. Now across the back line of Poku. And then Mensah trying to turn. He knew he had Madueke not far away and miscontrolled it out of play. And there's a cheer from the England fans at the other end of the ground. Throw in. James. Back to Anderson. Remember, if England win this match, they will be through into the knockout stage of the World Cup with a match to spare, which is against Panama. England's next match against Panama in New Jersey, Saturday night, 10 o'clock BST. Anthony Gordon then back towards the halfway line. If it's a draw, England would have 4 points, which would mean they would almost certainly be going through. But Ghana are approaching this with a very disciplined style, and the hope is that they're able to get the chance to counter-attack and maybe score the goal that would make life difficult for England. Spence, but in comes the challenge from Sanaya and it's out of play. Gordon quickly gets a ball off the cone, takes a quick throw in. 10 minutes of the first half to go, and England, the figures have come up on the screens all around the stadium, high up around the stadium, with England absolutely outnumbering Ghana by, how many was that to 1?
250 passes for England.
Madueke down the right, Madueke with the cross, Rice with a header, got up well but couldn't keep it down. He had Sanaya there with him, and it didn't threaten the goal of Asari. What were the numbers for the passes?
250 passes from England and 34 from Ghana, and if that doesn't show you the pattern of the game, nothing will. Good piece of play that was from Madueke. Got round the outside of his fullback that time, got to the byline. Declan Rice was free, but the ball was just too high, couldn't get enough power, went over the bar.
Still 0-0 as Jed Spence has it on the halfway line. England have not won their second match at a major tournament, World Cup, Euros, since Gareth Southgate's first tournament in Russia. The last 3 second group matches have all ended as draws, and that's why Harry Kane spoke to the squad this week in advance of this match about the importance of doing that, getting 2 wins on the board in your first 2 matches. But this is not going to be easy for England. We can see that already after 37 goalless minutes. Konza to Madueke, ball in field looking for James, but Sibo was able to step in, and then Mensah left-footed into the centre circle. Gay those steps forward, but the referee says that was a foul. Is he saying handball? I think he is. It's a free kick.
Yeah, Gay just burst between the 2 Ghana players there. Looked like it took it on his chest and it rolled down his thigh. Referee was close to the action though, giving a free kick against Gay with little protest.
Yeah, free kick in this wide open stadium. It's impossible to say how many levels there are. I mean, it's either 3 or 4, but there's a massive open end to our left, so it's only about the stand behind the goal where the England fans are is probably only like a 3/4 stand, because there's a massive gap there, which is probably to get some sort of machinery into the ground, I would imagine. As England take the throw in, Gay plays it across the penalty area. The other thing as well is the fake lighthouse, which we can see poking up above the big screens to our left, which is a symbol of Massachusetts and the famous coastline, the New England coastline. It looks a little bit like an air traffic control tower.
Well, the stadiums are so vast and they're so cavernous, but actually when you look at the attendances and the capacity, you would expect more, but then you forget about those 3 huge layers of hospitality boxes, different levels of hospitality here, there and everywhere, behind the goals, under the scoreboards, wrapped around the stadium. So many different features to the stadiums.
Elliot Anderson and IU just in on a challenge together there, and the free kick has gone Ghana's way, but I'm not sure if Carlos Queiroz has said something out of turn. Surely not. From the elder statesman of, or one of the elder statesmen of this World Cup. But the Honduran referee has made it absolutely clear that he has to button it. Never mind if you're Carlos Queiroz. at his 5th World Cup as a coach. 5 in a row, that is. The last 3 with Iran. He was the manager when England won their opening match 6-2 in Qatar against Iran. Excellent from Rice, just able to poke it away from Ajeti. Rice takes it on out to the left, but those yellowy golden shirts are back in position as Rice came back, and now they're there again up there. Those 2 banks are very obvious here. Jordan Ayew with that bandaged head through the middle, and England with Konza. He curls one towards the edge of the penalty area. Ajeti gets up, heads that away, comes back towards the edge of the box. Anderson to Gordon, but the referee says offside as England try to build, and that's a free kick to Ghana on the edge of their own box, and it is still England 0, Ghana 0.
They're getting asked questions, England, and they're going to have to come up with some answers. They're going to have to do something differently, whether that's the wide players staying wide, allowing Bellingham to go higher up with Harry Kane, or whether it's Elliot Anderson or Declan Rice, one of the 2 defensive midfielders going forward, because in this situation you can afford to do that.
Here's the reaction when David Beckham is shown on the big screen. I think the Ghanaians are cheering as much as the England fans. I think that's one of his sons, isn't it, who's sitting next to him. Here's James. More of a reaction from Beckham Jr. than there was from Beckham Sr. Just a playful smile across his face. Paul, you'll have seen that a few times.
Many times.
England trying to put pressure on Ghana, but Thomas Partey is able to play it back to Ajeti. Can't get out of their half. Here's Sebo back with his pass to Opoku. Rice was trying to nip the ball away from him. He's actually caught Opoku, who's ended up down on the ground, slapping the pitch. Oh, and it's a yellow card for Declan Rice. For that, there wasn't much in that, but it's a yellow card.
I think it was a ball, John, in all honesty, that he was never going to win, and he steamed into that challenge at real pace from a long way away. I'm not so sure that he was ever going to win that ball, but he went committed. We saw him made those 2 challenges earlier on over on the far touchline, and he got there first, but Opoku was just too quick for him this time, and he gets there first, and he stands on his foot, actually, looking at the replay. Declan Rice gets there. It's not a malicious challenge, but he stands on the Ghana defender's foot. It's a clumsy one at pace, and he couldn't stop himself, Declan Rice, because he was approaching the challenge so fast.
And just watching him walking away now into the centre circle, shaking his head. Got to be careful. And there are now in this expanded World Cup, the bookings are wiped at 2 points in the tournament. It's after the group stage and then again after the quarterfinals. Here is Antoine Semenyo, first time inside the England penalty area, trying to find a position on his right foot, but the tackle came in on him. I think it was James. Bounces back into the box. Anderson with Jordan Ayew took it out into the full-back position, but the Ghana captain has got the ball and takes on again Anderson. There's a tangle of arms there, and Madueke helping out. The ball bounces out. It's a throw into Ghana near the corner flag.
First real encouragement from Ghana's point of view. Antoine Semenyo it is. We talk about him so often being their danger man. Bundles Reece James off the ball on this near touchline. He bustles himself into the England 18-yard box, and he's clever. His strength pushes Reece James to the floor, and he knows that when he's done that, his first intention is to drive into the 18-yard box, because he knows when he gets there he can't be touched.
It's a long throw. Semenyo is going to take it, and here it is, up to the near post, out of the way though for England. I think Konza got his head to that. Comes back to Semenyo. 2 England players on him, still going, plays it off the shins of James, and it's behind. The ball skitters away into the hoardings. Ghana's first corner.
Last thing England need to do is give Ghana any type of encouragement in this game. And again, it's Antoine Semenyo. It's a deflection off Reece James, just inside the 18-yard box, looking to put the ball across the 6-yard box on the floor. It gives them a set play and, in all honesty, some respite from England's attacks.
That's the voice of Paul Robinson. Antoine Semenyo, it's fair to say he can score a goal in a big game, having scored that excellent FA Cup final winning goal for Manchester City just really a few weeks ago. So it's a corner that England have to defend. Half-time approaching. Jordan Ayew to take this. First test really, and it comes and is headed away by Konza near the edge of the 6-yard box, unchallenged. Comes back to the edge of the England area. James swings his foot through it. Bellingham, a couple of challenges on him. It bounces to Yerenchi, and Ghana go back into their own half, and we are almost into the 45th minute. A first half of very few chances. England have struggled to find a way through against Ghana, as James is just seeing the ball out, although it's stopped on the white line near the corner flag, and he's able to get a foot to it, pass it forward to Madueke. and England start again. And this gloomy afternoon here in Massachusetts, up in the northeast of the United States, right up in the northeast, with all of the England flags, various names written across the England flags, many of which are actually places in Massachusetts. Here is Gay on the ball in the centre circle. We drove past Manchester and Coventry on the way here the other day. Mark Gay, right-footed, long pass into the penalty area. That's chested down by Bellingham, but across comes the challenge to stab it out of play from Polku, and it's a corner to England now.
That's something different from England. What they've done so far, it hasn't worked. They've dominated the possession, but they have to do something different in the final third, and that's Mark Gay using his football intelligence there. He mixes it up. Jude Bellingham makes a good run past Harry Kane into the 18-yard box, and that was a long ball over the top, and England haven't utilised that in the first half, but that got them in behind the Ghana defence.
6 minutes of added time after the hydration break and that long stoppage for the clash of heads. It's a corner then. This is from the right-hand side. This is from the side where Rice delivered and Kane headed in against Croatia. We're now in added time at the end of the first half. It's 0-0 here. Rice waits to take it, keeping my eyes on Harry Kane. In comes the delivery towards the penalty spot. Two Ghana players went for it together, almost headed it back out to Rice, and then it's whacked away, walloped away downfield to comparative safety by Urenchi. So we are in these 6 minutes of added time that are loudly announced. Pickford, long pass from him, that's headed down and away under no pressure by Mensah. Thomas Tuchel scampers forward in his white trainers, that all blue, dark blue outfit that he was wearing the other night, same again, that collared shirt, and England take the throw and get it moving again. Mark Gay turns to his left, gives it to Jed Spence. The two England players who came in, that was the team news, 2 changes Thomas Tuchel made. So Stones and O'Reilly on the substitutes bench. All of the other 15 England players named as substitutes. Here's Konza. Konza now across the surface of the pitch on the right-hand side to James and to Madueke. Madueke back to Reece James. He manages to get that under control. The Seaboat looks to close him down. Square from Konza to Gay. Now Harry Kane comes short. We've seen relatively little, haven't we, of Harry Kane in this first half? It just occurs to me. Konza now, the Aston Villa man, shuffling forward, passing it, looking to try and find Bellingham to give him a little bit of space. Bellingham first time pass to Madueke. Ball ricochets into the penalty area. Bellingham tries to turn, but as he does so, gets a second touch on it, and that carries it away behind. And it's a goal kick to Ghana. 2 minutes of added time of the 6 have been played. Carlos Queiroz walks out of his coaching area and claps his team for their defending. 0-0.
Yeah, it's better again from England. Bellingham gets in a good position. You can see Jude Bellingham, his body language when he's off the ball now, and we can see him, we can see the whole pitch. He gets frustrated at times, but he's trying to make things happen. He's the England player that's trying to find those pockets of space, that's trying to cut open this Ghana defence, which has been extremely resilient.
Yes, England supporters coming here in their thousands, hoping to see England take up where they left off in that second half against Croatia, but Ghana simply haven't let them. An obdurate performance. It's a bit like watching a good Premier League play what? Championship opposition?
Yeah.
Better than that?
Never has the saying, the first goal in this game is key, been more so apparent, because if England get the first goal in this game, Ghana can't continue to play like this.
But if Ghana score it, this could become quite tricky for England. As Gay plays it through. Rice first time choice. Kane tries to find the position. Left foot, shoots deflected wide. Well wide by 8 or 9 yards. Too many defenders in there. Quick footwork from Kane trying to find that position. We've seen him do that so brilliantly for Bayern Munich this season, but it's a corner.
2 pieces of excellent play in that move there. Mark Gay's threaded the eye of Needland, Declan Rice's run, and then his ball into Harry Kane. Harry Kane in the end, he gets muscled out of it by the Ghana defenders, but that's better again from England. That's mixing it up, that's going from back to front with one pass, one touch into Harry Kane. Good piece of play.
Be a good time for England to score just before half-time in the 4th minute of the additional time. Rice taking corners from both sides, so here's his delivery from the left. Players gathered around the edge of the 6-yard box. Harry Kane makes the move. In it comes, but headed away by the first defender, and the ball dribbles out of play near the halfway line for a throw.
That's the Ghana are one of the first teams that I've seen in this tournament that all mark zonally. Normally they'll have 1 or 2 man marking, but they're actually marking zones, and they're very, very tight zones, and it's very difficult to pick spaces in between them, even when you've got the quality of Declan Rice's delivery.
It's the voice of Paul Robinson. England 0, Ghana 0 after Portugal 5, Uzbekistan 0 earlier, so Portugal top of the group. Here is Madueke turning into the penalty area, very congested though, 3 players around him. In the end he goes down, he was tackled, but Anderson's able to, nearer the halfway line, drive a pass forward. Ghana clear that up towards the halfway line, where it is tackled out of play for a throw-in to Ghana, just inside their own half. And I make it, we've got just over a minute of the first half to play here in Massachusetts, as it says on that gold-coloured hoarding on the opposite side of the ground near the halfway line. Asari, the goalkeeper, chested down by Jordan Ayew, just left Leicester City after their latest relegation. Jordan Ayew here winning his 122nd cap for Ghana, extending his national record. Thomas Partey on the halfway line.
He scored more goals in qualification, Jordan Ayew, than he did for Leicester last season. It shows what type of a season that they had.
Yeah. Relegated to League One. Ball back to Asari, passes it out and forward to Apolku, and then Apolku, as he hits that downfield, there's a scream from him as Bellingham put the challenge in. The referee's got his eyes on that. It was hit long downfield, England dealt with it, but I think he's brought it back for the, in fact, offside flag.
The assistant's given something down on this near side, whether it was the assistant who alerted him to the foul or whether he's seen an early decision. I think the assistant's actually looking at the replay. Bellingham's clattered him late, the Poku, and I think the referee was going to let the play go, but when he saw that Ghana had lost possession, his assistant put the flag up and awarded the free kick.
Yeah. So it is a free kick to Ghana, 0-0, half-time approaching. The referee, the assistants are all from Honduras, 4th officials from China, and the principal VAR is from the United States. That's very much World Cup, isn't it? And as the free kick is taken by Ghana, this is the reaction. A goalless first half, after all of the high hopes, and the way that England finished off Croatia in the first match. Ghana have made it very difficult for them, and there's a little bit of something going on with Jude Bellingham, who has some Ghana players around him. Something's been said.
He's got the needle, Jude. The way that second half finished, you could see he's got the needle. He left his foot in there in that challenge. Referee's having to go over and deal with it, and is Thomas Tuchel.
Thomas Tuchel's now arrived on the scene. The referee and officials are there. Thomas Tuchel, one of the substitutes, I can't say who it is. Is it Morgan Rogers? I think it is, isn't it?
This is exactly what Ghana want. This is what England cannot get drawn into.
Yep, absolutely. Morgan Rogers has actually gone across in his golden bib, and he's actually taken Jude Bellingham away from that. Thomas Tuchel wasn't far away as well. But Ghana trying to get under England's skin there and Jude Bellingham's skin, and actually they've now assembled the team, the Ghana team, in the centre circle, and they're going to have a little team talk there. I mean, they danced into the stadium, whether they're going to do something like that now, but they've held out England for the first 45 minutes, and that very much is the operative phrase here in the new England Patriots Stadium. And at the break, under these grey skies above, it is England 0, Ghana 0.
I think that was Carlos Queiroz saying something to Jude Bellingham as they walked across the pitch for the foul right at the end of the first half, Paul, and it just fired a few people up.
Yeah, and I think that's what Ghana have been trying to do. It's been niggly. There's been a few breaks in play, and like the way that they've defended, that's exactly what they've come to do. They don't want England to have it all their own way. And as John said in commentary, it's like an inferior team playing a Premier League team in a cup competition. They've tried to sit deep, they've tried to upset them, they've tried to break the play up. You know, there've been some challenges that have gone in that England haven't liked, and they've got to half-time, Ghana, and they're very pleased with their performance. The way that they've celebrated and high-fived each other in the centre circle, I would say to them there's 45 minutes plus a lot of bolted on time to go yet.
7 minutes to 5 here in Boston, 7 minutes to 10 in the UK. Are you still awake, Phil Jagielka?
Just about, yeah. It's exactly the game we thought it'd be, didn't we? Let's be honest. It's like what Robbo said, it's just one team's come here to try and nick a draw by hook or by crook, and then we don't really have that many ideas at this moment in time.
Why don't we have ideas?
I think we've got to certain places, even towards the end of Madueke sort of going through, and you're thinking, try and get a shot off, but we delay it, and they're more than happy to get 3, 4, 5 bodies around the ball and just stifle it. I think we needed a really good team talk for the Croatia game for different reasons. We'll need a slightly different one this time. We haven't looked edgy and nervous like we did in that game, but we have looked a little bit sort of running out of ideas. So hopefully the manager's seen something that he can change, and we get a second half similar to what we got against Croatia.
Steph Houghton, what would you look to do to change it?
I think in terms of the next 15 minutes would be to try and play at a bit of a higher tempo, if I'm being honest, chappers. I think Ghana have been really rigid in their 4-5-1. They've got bodies around the ball, and if we can move the ball a little bit quicker and use the likes of Anthony Gordon, Madueke, with the potential of the likes of Saka and Rashford coming on, I think if we can get players in 1v1 situations, especially towards the box, and get crosses in, I think it'll help us, because it allows the players to get into the box, the likes of Bellingham, Kane, Rice, potentially Jed Spence if he's high up. And I think if we can play that a little bit quicker and not get frustrated by Ghana in terms of fouls and tackles, I think we've got the quality to break this team down.
It's happened so rarely, though, hasn't it, that they've got past a full-back and put a cross in?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Madueke, and I think that's sometimes when you have players that are using their other foot and they're coming on the inside, in terms of Gordon on that left-hand side using his right foot. It would be ideal if maybe we have some with a natural left footer putting crosses in, just to kind of mix it up a little bit. But these players have got quality, and I think them runs from the likes of Reece James and Jed Spence from out to in have proved a little bit dangerous for Ghana. So if we can make more use of that and have them really well timed, and I think sometimes our decision making in and around the box can be that little bit better.
Steph Houghton, Phil Jagielka with us this evening. Paul Robinson alongside John Murray here at Foxborough, where it is goalless between England and Ghana. We will head to the Scotland camp during half-time ahead of Scotland-Brazil, which you can watch on BBC One and listen to here on 5 Live tomorrow evening after the latest BBC News at 4 minutes to 10.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The voice of the UK and the FIFA World Cup 2026.
With the headlines, I'm Lisa McCormack. Hundreds of schools in England and Wales will at least reduce their hours tomorrow, with temperatures forecast to reach 38 Celsius in places. A red weather warning for extreme heat comes into force for some areas at 9 a.m. Lebanon's president says his country won't accept any ceasefire deal that doesn't include Israel's withdrawal from southern Lebanon. A fifth round of peace talks with Israel is taking place in the US. 19 people have been injured after a bus overturned in Carmarthenshire. 6 were taken to hospital following the crash near Kidwelly in southwest Wales. And an Australian man's broken the Guinness World Record for the loudest shout. After 7 attempts, Joseph McGrail Baitup, who's a town crier, shouted the word now at 122.4 decibels. That's roughly as loud as an ambulance or a clap of thunder.
Stories so wild.
It's actually real and it actually happened.
They need to be seen to be believed.
Believe in Magic was like no other charity.
The mother of all cons.
It was all based on a lie.
Hi, the Dubai drug bust.
It's almost like going into shock. Bam! I thought my life was over.
Kidnapped by my mum.
She thought she was doing what was best for me.
And loads more unbelievable stories.
I just remember thinking, whoa.
Watch on BBC iPlayer.
Live from Boston.
This is 5 Live Sport.
At the FIFA World Cup 2026.
With Mark Chapman.
Goalless here between England and Ghana. Earlier, Portugal beat Uzbekistan by 5-0. There were 2 for Cristiano Ronaldo in that game. It has been announced this evening that Didier Deschamps will miss France's final game in their group against Norway on Friday following the death of his mother, so he will return home for her funeral and then return to the United States. Away from the World Cup, Gary O'Neill is the new Ipswich manager. He signed a 3-year deal, and Aaron Ramsey, former Arsenal and Wales midfielder, is going to be the new head coach of Oxford United following the sacking of Matt Bloomfield on Saturday. So that means next season, when Luton come up against Oxford, that'll be Jack Wilshere against Aaron Ramsey. In the Women's T20 World Cup, Australia thrashed Pakistan by 113 runs. Let's head to Miami. Scotland, Brazil tomorrow night. Full commentary here on 5 Live at 11 o'clock. You can watch it on BBC One with Kelly and the team. Ailey Barber joins us now. I would imagine you don't have grey skies and rain in Miami.
We do, Mark. It's been thunderstorms today out at the stadium. Lightning, thunder, heavy rain, the works. And it's so different, the feeling in the air from Boston. Even though I know there's been a bit of rain there for England, we had a little bit when Scotland were up there as well. But it's the humidity down here. It was around about 92% humidity. When I was at the stadium, it's so strange. It's almost like walking into a steam room rather than a sauna. So in terms of the heat, a little bit cooler today. Scotland have been training in Charlotte, and over the last couple of days it's the hottest it's been there. It's been up around 40 degrees for training, and they've moved training an hour later as well over the last couple of days, I think, to just get as much heat of the day as they can. So the heat, I think they will be okay with. The humidity, it's just a killer. I don't know how you deal with that as a player.
To put that humidity into some kind of context, somebody told me today that basically, if you are in a Miami hotel room, if you turn your air conditioning off, then your furniture will have a sort of wet, damp sheen on it within a very short period of time.
Yeah, and that's what it feels like with your clothes. It's not so much that you're sweating, because, like I say, the temperature today is quite manageable, but it just seems to be everything just feels damp. There's like a layer of moisture over everything. So, yeah, it's not pleasant today at all down here.
Let's hear from Andy Robertson then, because if Scotland finish third, then they're going to have a long wait. They're going to have to wait until Saturday night to find out whether they are through to the knockout stages as one of the best third place sides. So Andy Robertson was asked in his press conference today about how much that the squad have been thinking about all of these different permutations.
Not hard at all. Couldn't care less, to be honest with you. Now, come tomorrow night after the game, that might change. I won't, deny that. But when it comes to the game, we are in control of our own destiny at the minute. We've still got a game to play. We've already got 3 points, and nobody knows what you need, who you need to beat, whatever happens. But what we know is, if we get a result tomorrow night, then we'll be 100% through. So we have to focus on that. And then if we don't manage that, then okay, maybe come Wednesday night, late night, then we start looking what everyone else back home's looking at. But for us, as long as we are still in control, then that's all we can focus on. We know it's a big task tomorrow night, but we believe in the squad that we've got. We believe the quality that we've got, and if we get a result, then like the manager said, it'll be one of the best nights of our lives, and it will obviously achieve history for our country as well.
I mean, he's right, Ailey, isn't he? If they get a result, then they're absolutely fine. But it isn't fair the way this system works. If they're a goal down tomorrow with 20 minutes to go, they'll have an interesting decision to make. If a team on Friday is a goal down with 20 minutes to go, they will know the state of play much clearer.
Yeah, it's strange. We had that sort of situation as well in Germany, because playing for that third place position, and Hungary got it, and then they never progressed because other teams just finished better goal differences than them, and Scotland have failed to get out of groups for so many times over the years with it being goal difference, or there's a late victory somewhere later on in the group stage that then puts them out. So yeah, it's going to be a strange scenario, but like Andy Robertson says, the only way to get rid of that strange scenario and that little limbo space is to go and get a result, and that is very much what they are looking to do. Speaking to Steve Clarke today and to Andy Robertson and all the players over the course of the few days, it's very much about getting a result against Brazil. They're not going out there to just lose by a goal. They want to make sure that they do it, and they have the confidence and belief within themselves that they can do it.
Steve Clarke was asked by a Brazilian journalist if he'd set the side up to be more defensive, given they're taking on Brazil.
I don't know what to say, because I've got the Scottish media here and they kill me for being too conservative. I think we've shown in my time in charge, whether some people agree or not, that we can be very flexible with our system. We used the 5-3-2 or the 5-4-1 system to a good effect before. This time we've been concentrating mainly on the back four. But for the game tomorrow, you have to wait and see, because I don't want to tell Carlo what we're doing.
Any clues, Ailey?
Well, we know that right back is a problem area. Aaron Hickey's not making the game tomorrow, so that is a decision for him. Does he play Nathan Patterson again? Does he maybe move Kieran Tierney there, slightly more defensive-minded fullback? That is an interesting position. Does he go to the back three and then perhaps play Ben Gannon-Doak as a wing-back? He's got decisions to make, and that is a positive. That is something that he maybe hasn't had quite so much of in previous tournaments. So it'll be interesting to see how they line up, but ultimately it's all about getting that result.
Thank you, Ailey. Full commentary on 5 Live. Watch it on BBC One tomorrow, 11 o'clock kick-off, Scotland against Brazil. Some of England's subs just coming out of the tunnel now. The teams will be out shortly. Goalless in the first half. Let's hear from England's assistant manager, Anthony Barry.
Well, Anthony, a frustrating first half from an England point of view. What's your message to the players?
Overall, it's been absolutely okay half from our point of view. A game we probably expected to be a difficult challenge, difficult opponent. They defend deep, probably even deeper than we expected, 10, 12 metres deeper than the last two opponents that they played against. So the condensers between the lines really condensed, the spaces are really condensed. So then they have this incredible speed that they can also cover the spaces, so it's been difficult to break them down. So the headline for us is probably patience in the game, continue to attack with a stable base, because Ghana are a team that have exceptional counter-attack options, and we've negated that so far. And overall, just stay with it. We're a team that's always been able to open the game up with a set piece or with our boys from the bench. So the message is patience and just keep going.
Would you agree with that, Paul Robinson?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously what he's going to say. There's not a lot to really dislike about England's first half performance, other than their lack of cutting edge and their ability to open this Ghana defence up. They've dominated in every aspect of the game. The stats flashed up on the screens in front of us at half time. Ghana's XG is 0. They've had 0 shots, 0 attempts on target. Jordan Pickford has been completely unemployed in the whole first half. What they've got to address is how they attack in the final third, and they have to work different moves and plans to break this defence open, like we saw earlier with Mark Gay, the long ball over the top, the longer pass into Declan Rice, just mixing things up and not being so predictable. One goal changes this game massively.
Because at the same time that Ghana's XG was 0, England's was only 0.3.
Yeah, and that backs up the point of what I was saying about them in the final third. The possession that they've had, and it's actually been good territorial possession as well. They've had possession in good areas, mainly the centre of the field and in the final third in Ghana's defensive third. So it's just how they utilise that and what they create with it, because the lack of creativity is something that is unusual compared to the Croatia game. Because when you look at the Croatia game, well, the big thing for England now, the positive they can take from that, England had 20 shots from inside the box, a new World Cup record in the Croatia game. But just after the half-time team talk, they had 10 shots and 16 touches in Croatia's box. That was after half-time. So whatever Thomas Tuchel did at half-time, let's hope he's done again.
Harry Kane hasn't really dropped, has he, in the same way that he did against Croatia? But I'm guessing because we heard Anthony Barry say how deep Ghana were, that actually, if he dropped deep and tried to play, there isn't a ball over the top, actually.
There's no space between the Ghana back four and the midfield five, as they are when they're in defensive shape. Thomas Partey in particular, he's the one that's sitting almost on the toes of the back four, which is not really allowing Kane any movement, because if Kane goes in, he makes it even smaller and there's no room for the players in and around him to do the work that they need to. It's a very clever game plan from Ghana, and it's answers that England are going to have to find.
Right then. At the moment, the football's not been great. The highlight of this second half might be John Murray spotting who else is on the cameras and whether he knows them or not. Did you go see the Human League in Dallas, by the way?
No.
I would imagine that would have been your kind of thing.
Well, in fairness, I like a bit of Mumford and Sons.
Do you?
I do. Yeah.
Don't you want me, baby?
I'll tell you who does want you. There's a couple of Villa fans just over there who were trying to attract your attention. And just to your left, you'd make their day if you went and
I don't think I'd make their day. Anyhow.
I think it would probably make their World Cup.
Just concentrate on what's in front of you rather than what's behind us.
Okay, yeah.
Did you see the look you got then?
Yeah, I didn't need to look. Yeah, a big shout from those two lads in the black shirts there, Mark. Shouted up the Villa. So here we go. England against Ghana, second half. No changes at half-time. England with Pickford in goal, James, Konsa, Gay and Spence, Anderson, Rice, Bellingham, Madueke, Gordon and Kane. as Ghana, Jordan Ayew still with his bandaged head, is about to kick off, which he does now in the second half. The score is 0-0, and Ghana with Asari in goal, a back four of Sanaya, Ajeti, Apoku and Mensah, and then in midfield Urenchi, Sibo and Thomas Partey, with Semenyo and Iñaki Williams either side of Jordan Ayew. And England, again, just to underline it, if England win this match, and the same applies to Ghana, the winner here will be confirmed as being through to the knockout stages of this World Cup. They will be into the round of 32. So lots to play for, and I thought Anthony Barry, again as he was at half-time in the Croatia match, was right on the button. Frustrating. That's how it's been for England. They've got to break them down, but he did say as well there, Paul, that the substitutes are clearly going to be important for England.
Yeah, they're going to be key, and I think when he spoke about his squad before, Thomas Tuchel, he said he's got 14, 15 starters, but he knows the players that he can rely on to come on and change games, and we saw that in the Croatia game. He made changes that affected the game. At 1-0 up, he didn't try and defend the lead, he put substitutes on that allowed his team to have more attacking impetus, and were able to go on and win that game in a fashion that he wants to see his team play.
Grey skies, really glowering grey skies over us here in this stadium, about 30 miles from Boston, in Foxborough. Here's Gordon, who is challenged and fouled by Urenchi, and that is a free kick to England 10 yards inside the Ghana half. The question will be how long Thomas Tuchel leaves it before he begins to make those changes, of course. So it is 0-0, and Anthony Gordon playing this free kick back into his own half. Mark Gay, if you weren't listening in the first period, Gay and Spence, the two players coming into the starting lineup. So Thomas Tuchel changing the left side of his defence for this. Can't wait for that game that we were talking about at half-time, Scotland-Brazil, tomorrow, 11 p.m. UK time. You'll hear Al Lamont and Pat Nevin commentating on 5 Live. It is on BBC One. We will be back in New Jersey, won't we, for that, as the ball is played back to the halfway line.
The road trip continues.
Yeah, it's a lengthy drive from here back to New Jersey.
Well, it is the way you drive.
Well, got us here in one piece. Here is Gordon. Now, Jed Spencer way down below us with that mane of hair tied back in the ponytail. Konza in the centre circle. Konza through the middle looking for the run of Bellingham. Did you notice as well? Ghana cut it out. Then here's a pass for Semenyo. Semenyo away down the left hand side. Urenchi is making good ground in the middle. Still Semenyo in possession. That's an excellent challenge. Excellent challenge from Jude Bellingham. Got himself back into the right back position, but Semenyo's got it back. And then England have got two men on him. That was a moment of danger there. Partey through the middle to Jordan Ayew. Thomas Partey now passing it out here to the right-hand side. The ball is curled in towards the edge of the box, headed down by James, and Anderson will play it away. Actually, that's the moment of the match so far.
Brilliant from Jude Bellingham, and that's the Jude Bellingham that's turned up at this World Cup. After being left out of squads, after being left out of starting 11s, Thomas Tuchel, the way he's managed him through this year, I think he's forged the Jude Bellingham of old, and his attitude and application has been absolutely spot on in the game and a half that we've seen him so far. He tracks Semenyo all the way back there, he lunges in at the edge of the 18-yard box, and he times his tackle to absolute perfection, and that's the number 10 for England.
Yeah, brilliant. Just superb tackle. He absolutely took it away. He whipped the ball away from Semenyo. He settled his hash. However, that was a little win in the wider battle of this World Cup match. England's second match in Group L. Long ball out towards the left-hand side. The teams that won both of their matches. Now it's into the penalty. It deflects across the box and away. I thought for a moment there it was going to fall very nicely for Sanaya, but it just deflected away from him. And that's a moment of alarm for England.
Anthony Gordon switched off for a minute, long ball over the top, and he gets goal side of Anthony Gordon. Jed Spence thought that his winger had the on-rushing fullback, but he didn't. He'd slipped in behind him, but Jed Spence's pace allowed him to get back in, and he made half a block, which was important for England.
That's Paul Robinson, England World Cup goalkeeper. We're watching Anthony Gordon chasing after this ball, but I don't think he's going to reach it. Just skips away off the wet turf and through. Gordon turns and applauds back to the halfway line for the intention. Harry Kane standing on the edge of the area. Phil McNulty, our colleague, told me at half-time that Harry Kane's had 9 touches in the first half, 2 in the Ghana box. He did have a chance though that was deflected wide. You'll be able to read Phil's words on the BBC Sport website. Sammy Mockbell as well, who's here, will be writing on this match as England with the ball just deflected out of play. Noni Madueke chasing back, and it's a throw in to England on the edge of their own penalty area. As well, if you're on your way home, this match is on BBC TV, but with all of the BBC TV matches at this World Cup, you have the option to listen to the 5 Live commentary synced up with the pictures, and that is available on the red button and the BBC iPlayer. England with Gay, who was fouled by Jordan Ayew, and that's a free kick which he will just take. The referee allows it to go. Jude Bellingham, by the way, Paul, after he was involved in a little bit of something at the end of the first half, did you notice that Bellingham was in deep discussions with the referee as they were walking out to the centre circle?
Yeah, I think he was just filling in his side of the story. He didn't get the opportunity to in the melee that left the field. Too many players trying to get separated and pushed around, but actually Bellingham just had a quiet minute or so with the referee and give his version of events.
England 0, Ghana 0, in front of a not quite full New England Patriots Stadium. Here is Konza, and then there's a foul by Sebo and a free kick to England out towards the right flank.
Do you know what is interesting in this stadium, John? There are a couple of empty seats dotted about, but you can look on the concourses and the bars that are on a level above around the scoreboard area. There's a lot of fans that have chose to stand on the concourse and in these bars rather than on their seats.
Free kick taken by England. Madueke tried to roll the ball back to Declan Rice's Arsenal teammate, and it was all the way through for a goal kick. Yeah, they like that. They like having viewing areas. Wouldn't be allowed at home, of course, would it? There'd be some problem with that.
Health and safety wouldn't have that. That would definitely be on our risk assessment.
Yes, we've reached for the risk assessment on quite a number of occasions, haven't we, so far? As the ball is played back to Asari, all in pink, to the halfway line. Elliot Anderson got his head to it. Sebo, though, will look for Mensah on the left. Ghana on the attack. Ayew. Remember Ghana in their first match against Panama, it was a real patient waiting game, and then they struck right at the end of the match when Urenchi scored what was the winning goal in the 5th minute of added time. They've won themselves a throw-in, which is taken quickly. England very nearly switched off there. It was just dealt with by Reece James, kept in play. Madueke now is in danger of losing it. In fact, he's been fouled, and actually James didn't keep it in. It's a corner to Ghana, they're second.
Yeah, the England players are remonstrating with the official down on this near side, asking him how could he possibly see that from where he was. And I completely agree with the England players. Whether the ball was in or out, we can't tell from this high distance, but I'm sure the official down on that touchline, he couldn't see past Jordan Pickford, and Reece James actually, when he cleared it and he hooked the ball off the line, he had his back shielding the ball to the official.
So this is again a set piece to defend for England. Jordan Ayew whips it in, and even though players from both sides leapt for it, I don't think anyone got a touch. Now it's swirled back in, but too close to Pickford, who comes. I think he's fouled. He is. He's fouled as Urenchi jumped with him. Pickford, that had foul written all over it from it as soon as Urenchi was getting anywhere near Pickford, and it duly happened.
It's horrible that as a goalkeeper, because when there's a high hanging ball like that, you come in for the ball and you know you're going to get fouled, yet you have to wait to be fouled. To actually, you still have to go for the ball and go through the motions and take one.
And Pickford did. He's all right, and it remains 0-0 as Anderson is fouled in the centre circle. Another little foul. England, under Thomas Tuchel, remember, they have won his first 9 competitive matches, which is a record for the start of a period in the job for an England manager. Thomas Tuchel breaking Fabio Capello's record. Here's Mark Gay in the centre circle. Gay square. Thomas Tuchel was adamant yesterday. He said this is one of the strongest groups at this World Cup. Ball played over the top into the penalty area. Bellingham tries to get there. Defender came across. Bellingham's suggesting he might have been blocked, but I don't think there was too much in that. And it's cleared away to the halfway line, where Anderson will shield it from Ayew, and then just got a touch and was fouled by Sebo, and that's a free kick forward and right to the centre circle for England.
Does brilliantly well there, Elliot Anderson, because he wins possession back, and he looked like he was going to lose the possession. Sebo almost looked like he was going to get there first, but he just toes it away from him, Anderson, and wins a foul for England. Just getting a replay of the Jude Bellingham incident again. I don't think there was anything in that. He went looking for that one, in all honesty, Jude.
Yeah. Still 0-0. 5 Live from the BBC. In comes the cross from Madueke, but that's over everyone, way above Harry Kane's head, and bounces behind. Just prompts me with 10 minutes on the clock in the second half. There's Thomas Tuchel. We're seeing some of the gyrations that we saw in the first half when we're at the Dallas Cowboys stadium. He's got the substitutes warming up, and he's not happy with what he's seeing down there. You can tell that from his body language. Arms flying all over the place, feet wide apart, instructions being barked out. He wants better than this.
Yeah, it's been clunky. It's not been as fluid as the Croatia performance. You know, after that first goal, England looked a really good attacking side, the fluidity that they showed, but they haven't been allowed to. This Ghana team have defended in a different way. They've closed the space. They've defended very, very narrowly. One-on-one, they've closed the space down, and England haven't found a way to break them down.
Still 0-0 in the Foxborough drizzle. Bellingham turns the ball out to James. Madueke again out wide, takes on the left back Mensah, who got the tackle in, and the final touch was off Madueke. It's a throw to Ghana.
Just wonder what type of establishment the Foxborough drizzle would be.
I think it would be a cocktail, wouldn't it? Unintended cocktails. Ball forward, but Semenyo reaches out for that, and it bounces out of play. For fans of the Commentators View podcast, by the way, and I know there are plenty up here in the high in the stadium. We will be recording the first World Cup edition of the Commentators View, so you'll find that on BBC Sounds later this week. I know people will be flocking to BBC Sounds for it. Here is Spence, nice, back heel from Gordon. Spence then into the penalty area, Rice, back to Gordon, square from him, Bellingham, now out to the right, Madueke, left foot deflected, headed away across the 6-yard box. Didn't get any power on that, Madueke. That's the best from England in the second half. Might come to Gordon to shoot, which he does. And England have a shot on target, but it was straight at Asari, who was able to gather it into his chest.
Movement of the ball in and around the edge of the box, move the ball quickly. The defenders can't move as quick as the ball, and that's what England did then, cutting in from this left-hand side. Anthony Gordon realised that the shot wasn't on, moved the ball to the far side to Madueke. I don't think it's the finish that he wanted, didn't really get the contact, but a shot in the end on target for England. But that's a better way of attacking in the final third, moving the ball quicker.
First shot on target? It is, isn't it?
Possibly in the whole game.
Still 0-0, but that was better. England moved it around the edge of the penalty area. Thomas Tuchel stands with his arms folded. I don't think it'll be too long before we see the changes. Morgan Rogers we might see, certainly Rashford, probably Saka. Here's Rice in the right back position, then back to Spence with the right-footed cross, and then Madueke hooks it over the defender, but it bounces away and there's cover there, and it's slid out of play by Opoku for another England throw. Still 0-0. England playing from right to left, so actually England are attacking towards the end where the massed ranks of the England flags and players are. Rice is caught in possession though, and that is excellent play from Yerenchi, who passes the ball forward to Williams on the right hand side. England have got white shirts coming back, but the ball is played infield. Ooh, that was a heavy challenge from Bellingham, and that is not given as a free kick. I thought Yerenchi had a case there for a free kick. Bellingham's challenge from behind. You can hear what the Ghana fans think of that. Boos from them as Bellingham is quickly down the other end, gives it to Gordon, and then Gordon is tackled. And the ball bounces out for a throw to England. I think Bellingham got away with one there.
Well, he clearly made friends with the referee when he came out the tunnel with him at half-time. But another example of England there not moving the ball. Anthony Gordon, there was a real opportunity for him there to get forward, but then the space is all closed up very quickly, so he just slowed the play down.
Gordon with the ball on the left, finds Bellingham, corner of the penalty area, left hand side. Bellingham drops his shoulder, curls one in, too close to Ghana, headed away, comes back to Elliot Anderson, now with the ball at his feet. It's worked to Anthony Gordon, the new Barcelona man. Elliot Anderson, who it seems will inevitably be on his way from Nottingham Forest. Gordon then down the line. He was challenged as he made the cross. Sliding challenge came in on him from Sanaya, and it was late. The referee has brought it back, and he's going to boot the Ghanaian player as well, who committed the foul. There were two of them who dived in on him. Whether it was Williams or Sanaya, we'll just see which one it is who's actually been yellow carded. but it's a free kick for England in a good position.
Yeah, it's Williams with the initial challenge down the back of Anthony Gordon's calf. They doubled up on him, but it's Inaki Williams, I think, that's taken the yellow card. There's no real... It was a proper forwards challenge because Anthony Gordon's touch, the ball was rolling out of play.
Half an hour to play, just over half an hour, and I suspect we're going to see some changes coming shortly. The England substitutes warm-up has become more intense. Rain continues to pitter-patter down. Declan Rice uses the front of his white shirt to wipe the face. Up goes the left arm. Rice's delivery towards the back post, which is headed goalwards by Anderson, but blocked. Too many defenders in the way, a whole crowd of players in the 6-yard box. It was deflected wide and behind, but he found the man in space. Anderson found space.
Now that's a really well worked free kick because all the Ghana defenders are inside the 6-yard box in that zonal shape that they had. Elliot Anderson was at the back right hand corner of the 18-yard box, and he just ghosts in around the back completely unmarked. He had a free header that ends up hitting the Ghana player, Sibo, I think.
Well, Anthony Barry at half-time, when we heard from him, talked about, this is where the set pieces may come in for England in a tight game like this, a difficult, awkward match. Rice waiting to take this. 4 players grouped near the penalty spot. Gordon on the edge of the 6-yard area. Rice is waiting. Let's see what England have got planned with this one. Right-sided corner. Rice plays it in, and the header is up and wide. It's Anderson again who got his head to that, but under pressure as the defender arrived, could only head it up and wide by 3 or 4 yards of the top corner.
And that's a corner that England like. It was almost a carbon copy, just slightly further out to the one that Harry Kane scored against Croatia. The out-swinging corner from Declan Rice, one of the England players arriving late. Elliot Anderson that time can't find the target, but it's a really good delivery from Declan Rice. This is the best spell for England in this game, and I think it's helped that Ghana have come out to play a little bit more in this second half.
5 England subs warming up down there in their golden bibs. Here's Anthony Gordon, still 0-0 on 5 Live. Gordon, Spence makes a run, Gordon keeps possession, still going. There's Yorenchi, just got a toe to that. No, he didn't, says the referee. It's a throw-in to Ghana. Anthony Gordon can't believe it. Thomas Tuchel has gone to sit down. England have won the ball back. Here's Harry Kane. Oh, that's a poor challenge. And Kane is caught by that challenge by Thomas Partey. And it's a free kick, but I mean, it was late. Kane was looking to take the ball away, and Partey came in with the challenge. It's just a free kick.
He's lucky to escape a yellow card there, Thomas Partey. Kane gets there first. He's got his back to goal, and Thomas Partey comes sliding in. He looks to try and hook the ball with his right foot, but he gets Kane's right foot instead of the ball. Rightly so. Referee right on the spot again.
Actually, I think only a free kick is fair for that.
Yeah, I think it looked at initially the way that Kane reacted, two-footed jump in the air, maybe looked worse than it was.
Yeah, the feet came together, the 2 feet, one of Kane's, one of Partey's. However, it is a free kick, and we've got just under half an hour to play. We're in the 63rd minute. Free kick. Rice to take this as well. Just waiting to get one right. Ghana holding the line just inside the box. Rice curls it in, looking for Kane, but that is headed up and away. It comes out, shot from Anderson. That bounces down, could go anywhere. Gordon along the edge of the box. Left foot shot is wildly wide from Madueke. Arrived onto it on the edge of the area. I don't know whether he was trying to bend it, but anyway, it flashed away across the face of goal. And it's a goal kick to Ghana, and it's still 0-0.
Intelligent piece of play from Anthony Gordon. He realises that his chance has left him, and he plays a square ball across the 18-yard box to Madueke. And actually, when you think of the quality that Madueke's got with his left foot, you would have expected him to at least hit the target in that area.
The other match in this group is the next commentary that you'll hear, which is midnight UK time, as free kick is given against Karenchi for his challenge in centre field. And it's Ghana actually who are going to make changes first. Free kick to England. Yes, Panama-Croatia, next commentary. That's from midnight UK time. Mike Maine and Andy Reid with one of our UK-based commentaries. It's also on BBC TV. And were this match to finish like this, Ghana and England would have 4 points, which would not yet confirm their place in the knockout stages, but almost certainly. So we're going to see 2 Ghana changes, but we're also going to see 2 England changes, and Nico O'Reilly and Bukayo Saka, Paul, are going to be the first 2 to come on.
It'll be interesting to see who comes off. I think Anthony Gordon may be one on this right-hand side. I think Madueke's played particularly well. He's getting called over to this near side, is Madueke. Whether that's to change sides or the manager wants to talk to him. Is Anthony Gordon that's coming off. Madueke's going to change sides and Saka's going to go over to his favourite right-hand side. So the shape for England is obviously going to stay the same. It's Nico O'Reilly that's coming on as well. Have to wait and see who's coming off. I don't know. Hard pushed if it's Jed Spence. I think he's had a good game.
There is the first number that it is Anthony Gordon. It's the number 18, Anthony Gordon, and also Jed Spence. So the two players on the left-hand side for England are replaced. Nico O'Reilly coming on for England, the young Manchester City star, to win his 7th cap for England. And we're going to see a double change as well for Ghana, with Abdel Fatawu of Leicester coming on to replace Iñaki Williams. And the other change will see Prince Edu, who plays in Czechia, for the Czech Republic. He is a forward, and Prince Edu seems to be some confusion down there over the number, so the board hasn't been shown. So Edu's waiting on the side of the pitch, and we're going to have to wait. It is Jordan Ayew. I thought it surely must be, and it is. So there we are, the Ghana captain being cheered off.
Yeah, took a whack to the head. Not so sure that he's been at his best today, Jordan Ayew, but it's been a very difficult game for him. Cut a lonely figure there, the way that they played in the first half, and found it very, very difficult to get into the game.
So Thomas Tuchel makes his first moves. Bukayo Saka has gone over to the right, Paul, and Noni Madueke to the left. Here is England attacking with the ball played for Saka, but that's pulled down, and Ghana look to break away with Seaball to the halfway line, but Declan Rice arrives, puts the challenge in, the ball's played over the top through the middle. Pickford's come, makes the challenge on the edge of the penalty area, and the referee says Pickford has been fouled. And that is a free kick to England. It was the challenge came in from Edu, who's just come onto the field, and the ball for him to race onto. Pickford came out of the penalty area, and I think the ball actually went past him, and Edu runs into Pickford, or does Pickford run into Edu?
Neither of them touch the ball. Oh, Edu's got Pickford on his shin. Pickford's made the wrong decision there. He stumbled and he stopped and started, and then he hesitates. Edu goes for the ball, and he's actually caught Pickford halfway up his left shin. Doesn't look pretty, that on the replay. I mean, that could have gone either way there. The England goalkeeper has got lucky in that situation. He put himself in a situation that he didn't need to be in, and he got lucky because it was a fairly bad challenge on him.
Yeah, Pickford was saved there by the high foot of Edu. Yeah, he went into the challenge with his foot raised, caught Pickford. If he hadn't, that could easily have been, well, could have been a red card.
I think Jordan Pickford's starting position, in all honesty, there was slightly too deep. I don't think he anticipated the through ball, because Ghana haven't been playing anything like that during the game. He was slightly too deep in his 18-yard box, so when he made the decision to go for that, he had to cover too much ground.
Midway through the second half, here in Massachusetts, it's England 0, Ghana 0. The only previous international between these teams did finish as a draw. It's a friendly. Here's Kane, edge of the area, left foot shot, but too close to the goalkeeper. Sare, who can just drop down to his right, didn't get the power on it that he wanted from the edge of the area. Kane.
Very fine margins in this game at the moment. Nico O'Reilly looked like he'd just lost possession, 25 yards from goal, gets a foot in, wins it back, gets it into Harry Kane on his unfavoured left foot. It's a strike on target, but it's never going to trouble the goalkeeper at that pace.
England back in possession. Elliot Anderson. Urenchi closes him down, so he turns and gives the ball back to Mark Gay. Now Ezri Konsa. Those two Villa supporters just sitting to our left will be cheering him on. I suspect they were in Istanbul for the final as well, if they're here at the World Cup. Now Madueke on the left-hand side, drifting in field. Mark Gay, centre of the Ghana half. Bukayo Saka receives it. Saka with two men on him. Still Saka in possession, plays the ball back to Konsa. Konsa has got Anderson available. Anderson then little ball through to Bellingham, who quickly passes it back towards the halfway line. Ghana again with everyone, all 10 men, outfield players behind the ball as England have possession. Nico O'Reilly comes, gets his first touch on it. Then the ball is delivered to the left-hand side to Madueke. Madueke now, that's a good-looking cross, which is headed up and over the top of the crossbar by Bukayo Saka, 7 yards out.
Super cross from Madueke, gets round the fullback. He's not had much joy over on the right-hand side, Madueke. They've doubled up on him, and Gideon Mensah's done a really good job on him, the left-back. But coming over to this left-hand side, it might just give Madueke that little bit more input in the game.
So here we go, the hydration break, and more boos ringing around the New England Patriots Stadium while we have the break in play. And back in the 5 Live studio, both Phil Jagielka and Steph Horton watching on. Steph, you went first last time, so Phil, slightly better?
Yeah, definitely slightly better, and exactly what Steph told them to do. Put a left foot on the left side, put some crosses in, so that's obviously what Tuchel's gone for, obviously bringing on Nico O'Reilly as well. Yeah, looking better, but again, this hydration break's probably killing our momentum again. It's a tough night at the office so far, but hopefully we can find a little spark between now and the end of the game.
Yeah, I think what Phil said in terms of just a little bit more intensity, a little bit more tempo, and I think the Madueke change is going to be interesting. I think especially with O'Reilly on that left-hand side, probably providing with a little bit of balance. And now Kane's starting to get into the game. He's his first shot at the edge of the box, so hopefully we can get him on the ball a little bit more.
Yeah, in all honesty, I think that we're getting to a stage of the game now, entering the last 20 minutes, where Ghana have put in such a shift. They've now got something to hold on to. They've been trying to hold on to that clean sheet the whole game, but now England are really going to be against it. It's going to get harder and harder because the determination that we've seen from Ghana in this game, the defensive stubbornness and the stability that they've got, and how hard they've been to break down, and now less than 20 minutes to go, they've got that to hold on to. England are going to find it harder and harder. They need to break this deadlock quick, John.
All right, thanks to you two, Phil and Steph. I think Steph's off to BBC TV now, but we'll have more from Phil at the end of the game. And let's see if there is a thought of another change maybe down. Well, I think there is, isn't there? Morgan Rogers is ready to come on, and Eberichi Eze as well is going to get his first taste of the action at this World Cup.
He's looking for answers, Thomas Tuchel. He's down there now. He's not got the players in a group. The players are in a group, but they're kind of spread out, and he's talking to individuals rather than the group as a collective. So he's going to make substitutions now. And it's not his last roll of the dice in this game, but I just wonder whether he'll have a shape change.
Incidentally, people might be thinking, why no Marcus Rashford? There was a suggestion, wasn't there, that he felt a little bit of, there was a muscular issue, so that might explain why we've not seen Rashford just yet. And it is the end of the, it's got to be a cooling break on our little screen, but I tell you what it should also be called. It should be called the telephone break, because as soon as the players come to the side, you look around the stadium, everybody reaches for their mobile phones. Right, so Morgan Rogers and Eberichi Eze, and coming off Elliot Anderson. So I think you're right, Paul. This is going to be a little bit of a rejig, and Jude Bellingham as well. So Bellingham substituted in both matches, Paul.
Yeah, but I think
surprised.
Surprised, yeah. But the impact that he had in the first game, it's not been the same today. He hasn't been allowed. At times he's cut a frustrated figure. Just looking at the two substitutes coming on now, Rogers and Eze have both gone into a midfield, almost a number 10 role in behind Kane. The two wide players, Madueke on the left, Saka on the right, and then Rogers and Eze both as a 10 in behind Harry Kane. And Declan Rice is the one that's going to sit in front of this England back four, which I think is a good move, because they've not needed two defensive midfielders in this game. This is where you're playing against a team who are so submissive. You can afford not to play. I mean, it's very difficult to leave Rice or Anderson out of the side, but for the formation and for the better of the team, actually a more attacking minded player, because you don't need two players sat in front of a back four.
Yeah, so Declan Rice is now playing that role on his own, and England with the ball on the left-hand side, and into the action for the first time. Eze, little pass to Nico O'Reilly. So it's now actually quite a different looking England team after the four changes that have been made.
It's a 4-1-4-1
with Declan Rice in that position, and Mark Gay now, and we've got 15 minutes to play. England 0, Ghana 0. With this, both of these teams would have 4 points, but England want the win that would confirm their place in the round of 32. They want it today, as the floodlights are just beginning to take effect. It is so gloomy here on this late afternoon. England with it, with Morgan Rogers on the left-hand side. Cheers for Rogers as he gets the cross in, which is deflected at source behind by Mensah for an England corner.
Straight away, Morgan Rogers does what Morgan Rogers does. He gets the ball and first thought he's forward, wants to get at the defender, take the defender on, try and get round the outside. He knows he's in a dangerous area that's going to win a set play or a free kick. Gets round the outside and wins England a corner.
Corner. Rice makes his way over there to take it. And England now, Harry Kane waiting near the penalty spot. Ghana have defended England corners relatively well so far, those Rice corners. Morgan Rogers, also Konza is there. Here it comes from Rice, takes a flick off a Ghana head, rattles around the penalty area, comes down. Madueke's challenged and the ball runs away for what is given as a goal kick. Final touch off Madueke, who puts his hands on his head, but the Honduran referee was adamant.
And they've not had a break of the ball either, England, in the final third. Yes, they've not really created that many chances. The goalkeeper hasn't been worked as often as Thomas Tuchel would like, but at times like that, the break of the ball hasn't gone their way, and you can understand the frustration.
Yeah, it's been that sort of game. If you've not been listening, if you've just switched onto us on 5 Live, it's really not been much of a spectacle. Ghana have come with, I think, what you could fairly call spoiling tactics, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, we've talked so long about tournament football, and Carlos Queiroz here, having lost 6-2 to England at the last World Cup with Iran, with this Ghana team that he's just taking over, you know, they've come here to get something from this match.
And this isn't an easy way to play football. This is a very disciplined way of playing football. To have a group of players that buy into this type of tactic and are happy to do it.
Here's an odd one. There's a Ghana player down. Referee goalkeeper Asari was looking to throw the ball out of play. He actually threw it to Bukayo Saka. So the referee, seeing that, has promptly blown his whistle, which again is debatable, because the player was still down injured.
Yeah, he's not injured. He's running back towards his own goal. Harry Kane just gave him a little shove, Sanaya, and he went over. I mean, it was a shove in the back, but there was absolutely no way that he's going to pick up any type of injury from it. Did 3 forward rolls and then asked the goalkeeper to throw it out. So we're getting to that point of the game now. This could be ugly and bitty, and that's exactly what Ghana want. England are going to have to be very controlled, very careful in their approach, and keep doing what they're doing, keep sticking to the task.
It could be ugly and bitty. It's been ugly and bitty from almost the first minute.
It's only going to get worse from a Ghana point of view, though, because they've got this far in the game.
England's first match was one of the best matches of the tournament so far. This has been at the other end of the spectrum. But Rice playing it forward. And as I say, you know, it takes all sorts when you're playing in a World Cup or a tournament. And Ghana, if they get a point from this, 4 points from their first 2 matches, they'll absolutely take that. As Saka is bundled over, that's a free kick. And England, the onus is on England to find a way through here. Thomas Tuchel's made his changes, so as Paul says, you've got Declan Rice playing as the holding midfielder, and ahead of him Rogers to the right, Eza to the left, Madueke on the left hand side, Saka on the right, and Harry Kane through the middle. There is a challenge there, and England have to defend this now as Adu. It breaks away into the penalty area, and in comes the challenge, still loose in the box, and then it bounces behind. And what is the referee going to give here? There were a couple of desperate challenges, and actually I think the flag is up after the ball was lost for England by Eza, who thought himself he'd been fouled. Ghana swept away downfield, but actually the flag's gone up, and because Semenyo was beyond Pickford in the penalty area when it was played through to him, there was only one defender, so it's offside.
I mean, surely that was a foul on the England player down here by Fatoa. I mean, right in front of the England dugout, Thomas Tuchel was absolutely raging. They lost possession, and England all of a sudden were 3-on-3. Ezri Konza did us very well to get back in and make the block, but offside was given. But if England needed a warning how Ghana are setting up, and this is exactly what they did to Panama. Was it the 93rd, 94th minute they scored against Panama and nicked a 1-0?
Yep. 5th minute of added time. And if the match against Croatia had the feel of those exciting England performances in the autumn, this has actually had the feel of those matches, those disjointed matches against Japan and Uruguay in the friendlies in March. England with the ball centre field. And to give Thomas Tuchel credit, you know, he did kind of suggest that it might be this sort of match here. He said Ghana are better than their world ranking of 65 suggests. Madueke. Again, those yellowy golden shirts of Ghana. They've worked incredibly hard here, which they've had to do, playing like this. Declan Rice now, 10 yards inside the Ghana half. Konza will now carry the ball forward. And then Mark Gay lifts a ball into the box looking for the run of Saka, but that is up and headed away by Mensah. Rodgers tries to get there, Saka gets there first. Reece James turns the ball infield, and the referee says offside. I think it was Saka had straight offside, and it's a free kick to Ghana, and it's still 0-0.
You can't afford to drop to a pedestrian pace. England, the possession that they're having, Ghana are quite happy when it's all in front of them. The ball needs to move quick, and it needs to be runners off the ball, and moving off the ball into spaces and trying to pull the Ghana defence out of spaces. As we keep saying, it's been the same all game. It's been a tough watch at time.
England 0, Ghana 0. Listen to all of our World Cup commentaries with the BBC Sounds app, or ask your smart speaker if you've got one to play 5 Live. And Breakfast in America will be on again tomorrow, 1 o'clock UK time. And there is a great guest coming up this week on Thursday. The New York Mayor Zoran Mamdani is due to be on the programme, so do not miss that on Thursday afternoon on 5 Live. Here is Madueke on the left hand side. Third test starts as well on Thursday, test match special for that on BBC Sounds. Here's Gay, right footed pass out to the right hand side. Saka gets that down, excellent play, beats the defender. There's another one there, Sibo, and in fact he was fouled by Mensah, and that's a free kick to Saka. Excellent control, tight control when Mensah was right up against him.
Yeah, it's his first touch, Saka, that allows him to get around Mensah. Mensah's been so good this game. He's marked Madueke out the game, and now Saka's gone over there, gone one-on-one with him, but his first touch gets it round him.
Free kick on the right for England to swing in from the right out near the white line. The rain, I think, has finally stopped. You can take your hood down, Paul.
I'm quite happy with it.
10 minutes.
The state of my hair underneath it, I'm quite happy with my hood at the moment. I might keep it on for most of the day.
Free kick, Saka and Rice together, the two Arsenal men in discussions. Harry Kane waits near the penalty spot. Madueke and James just outside the area, but there are 5 England shirts in the area. It's going to be a left-footed delivery. It's Saka who's going to take this. Little steps from Saka. It's played in, but headed up and away by Mensah. And then I think that might have been a foul by Gay, just as Ghana were looking to break away. It's a free kick to Ghana near the edge of their own box. And Gay was quickly sprinting away from the area there after his challenge. England making their final change now, and it is Marcus Rashford for the last few minutes of this match. We're in the 83rd minute. Madueke is off, and Rashford's on the left-hand side.
Yeah, it was a substitution that was imminent, and I think this late on in the game will obviously be a question as to how fit and how many minutes that he was able to play. We know that how players are monitored these days, and the fitness and fatigue levels, and maybe this is all that Thomas Tuchel thought that Marcus Rashford could play, but he couldn't have any more attacking players on the pitch.
Yeah, Rashford on to win his 74th cap after scoring his 19th England goal to make it 4-2 against Croatia in the opening match. Remarkably, if you didn't hear this, the first time England have won a World Cup match 4-2 since the final in 1966. But that 4th goal clinched it, and Rashford, Thomas Tuchel's asking him to do the same thing here. He passes the ball forward actually for O'Reilly. O'Reilly tries to turn it infield, 2 Ghana defenders there. They clear it away downfield. Well, Pickford is away out of his penalty area here, and very carefully with his left foot under pressure is able to pass the ball to Gay, slightly heart in mouth.
Yeah, it's a better starting position though from Jordan Pickford, because any ball over the top there, it was going to fall into no man's land because England was so high up the field. It was a good starting position and well dealt with.
England come forward again. Reece James gives it to Saka. Saka with an early pass. Rodgers, that's behind Rice, but Kane might get there. No, he doesn't. Cleared away, it's scraped away to O'Reilly, and then the ball is turned quickly back by Gay to Rashford. Rashford, early ball into the box, but bounces away off Eza, and then O'Reilly is fighting for it, and then cross comes the challenge from Rashford, which takes down Abdel Fattahou, and that is a free kick to Ghana, and it's still 0-0 with just over 5 minutes to play.
It's so hard to play in these games as a player, because it's not for the want of trying, it's not for the lack of wanting to go and break a team down, but when a team do this and they're so efficient at it and so well drilled, and everyone is so committed to the cause, I mean, other than obviously create chances and score goals, there's not much more that England could do as to dominate in the game, but they have lacked a real cutting edge. They've looked blunt today compared to the Croatia game, where they had a record number of shots for a World Cup inside the 18-yard box. It's been complete polar opposite today.
Yep, this will have dulled expectations, won't it? Not being able to break down a team like Ghana. But Croatia actually were easier to play against because they were a better team.
Well, they wanted to play. Yeah. They came to play. Ghana have come to spoil. But what this will do for other teams will watch this and say, OK, England struggle against the low block.
Rashford now. Rashford's ball in. Oh, good header away. Out to Rice, who nods it back forward to Saka inside the box. Saka just runs across the edge of the penalty area. Saka shoots right-footed. Goalkeeper gets down well, makes the save. Right-handed Asari, good effort. Was able to push it away as well. That was very good from Saka. Vintage Saka, really. What you expect to see from him.
Incisive. Cuts inside on his left foot, takes out the fullback, takes out the midfielder who's picking him up, shoots across the goalkeeper, slightly too close.
Rashford angles the ball back out of the box. Kane gives it square to Rodgers. Arriving is James. James ball across. It's headed against the crossbar by Kane. Oh, and then over the top. What a chance that was. Harry Kane, after the initial header from O'Reilly hit the bar, it bounced down for Kane, of all people, stretching for it, and he could only send it up and over the top of the crossbar.
You put your house on Harry Kane scoring from that position. Anybody that you want the ball falling to there, 7-8 yards from goal, on his left foot, he's got a clear sight of the ball, nobody around him. The goalkeeper comes flying out at him, and he just skies it completely, Harry Kane. It's a good piece of play down the right-hand side from Reece James, who finds a ball into the box. Nico O'Reilly rises the highest, and he hits the junction of crossbar and post. Comes back out to Harry Kane, 6-7 yards from goal. Clear strike on the half volley on his left foot. He gets up and underneath it. And anybody in that position, it's Harry Kane. His goals, his numbers, everything that he does in front of goal. I can't believe he's missed that chance, John.
Neither could he. After his 69 goals for club and country this season, Harry Kane, 8 yards out, came at him quickly, but even so, we are very used to seeing Harry Kane put those away. Sanaya has been substituted, the right back, and coming on to replace him is the number 21, the Nice defender Kojo Opong. There's talk of Everton interest in him, and the number 21 has slotted in at right back. So time running out for England if they want to win this game. Chances just beginning to come. Rashford crossfield pass, Saka had to hook it back, and then the defender Mensah made sure it bounced out of play for a corner, a throw-in to England near the corner flag. Final minutes, England's second match. Oh, that's given away by O'Reilly. Ghana could break here. Ghana themselves thinking about a late winner, just like the first match against Panama. Rice is being put under pressure, but Rice holds off the challenge. And Rice plays it back into the penalty area to Pickford, who passes it first time out, left-footed. And England come again, rowed on by the thousands. And then the long crossfield pass. Opong is able to head that forward, but only back to England. We're in the 89th minute. The hundreds and hundreds who've made the journey across the Atlantic. Maybe this is the only ticket they had for a match at this World Cup, given the prices. Still waiting for a first England goal. Eza, middle of the Ghana half. Declan Rice now, square to Konza. Mark Gay with his left foot, then his right to Rashford. A little jink by Rashford, defender in front of him. Rashford curls it in, that's headed up and away by a Jetty, headed back in by Rashford, cleared away by Seaborn. Rashford is pulled up for his challenge on Yerenchi, and that is a free kick to Ghana halfway inside their own half. Yeah, Rashford absolutely furious with that decision.
He was too keen to win the ball, wasn't he, in that area, Marcus Rashford. England players doing all they can. They know that time's running out, as we get to see a replay again on our monitor here. Nico O'Reilly is a header at the far post. How that's not gone in off the underside of the bar initially, I don't know. And then Harry Kane's strike from that type of distance. Everybody, the England bench, Thomas Tuchel, turns away in absolute disbelief.
England have got their final group match against Panama Saturday night. We'll be in New Jersey to bring you that. Ball forward for Ghana. Semenyo chasing for it. I think a push by Semenyo. It actually bounced to him and he volleyed it over the top, but it was a foul on Konza and a free kick to England on the edge of the box. Still England 0, Ghana 0.
We'll be hoping for some time bolted on England. I mean, the chances have started to come for England.
Well, here comes the fourth official, Paul. 6 minutes. It seems it's always 6 minutes.
Well, it's the hydration break plus a little bit more, isn't it, normally?
The subs. England have 6 minutes to find the breakthrough. If it's going to come late. Rashford infield to Gay. England have not won their first 2 matches at a major tournament since the World Cup in Russia. So 6 minutes is announced. Little cheer of encouragement from the England fans. Rice turns the ball. There's space there for Rodgers. Rodgers now. He's got Saka ahead of him. He goes infield to Declan Rice, and Rice curls it in, but it's beyond Kane and is headed away by the substitute. Opon for an England corner from the left.
Good ball into from Declan Rice, just over the head of Harry Kane. Ghanaian defender didn't know what was behind him. He had to put it out for a corner. It's given the England fans away to our left a little bit of a boost.
England need a moment. Nico O'Reilly at the back post with Harry Kane. Rodgers is there as well, and Konza. The 2 Aston Villa men together. Bukayo Saka on the edge of the box. Mark Gay near the penalty spot itself. Rice for the delivery then for England towards the back post. It's missed everyone. Harry Kane challenged for it. Bodies came together and it flashed between them all, and Kane with his hands on his head.
That was the set play. That was one of the set plays that they've worked on. The ball was perfect from Declan Rice. Harry Kane just gets bumped at the last by Fatawu. He does enough to put him off. You look at Harry Kane's starting position. He's starting almost on the tee, the cross of the 6-yard box and the byline. That's a worked corner, but it just didn't come off with Harry Kane getting to the ball.
At this World Cup, there are only 4 teams below Ghana in the world rankings, but they've been difficult opponents. 0-0. Rodgers. Does well. Comes out of a challenge centre field. Then a turn as well. Excellent from Rodgers. Sebo's trying to chase him. Still going. I think he's fouling him, but Rodgers is able to find the pass to Rashford, who clatters the ball into Opong and wins another corner for England.
Yeah, Morgan Rodgers has brought some life to this game. Since he's come on, every time he's got the ball, he's ran forward with it. He's tried to create something. He's tried to make something happen.
He's consistently delivered, Morgan Rodgers, for England under Thomas Tuchel. Still 0-0. Rice to take this. The lineup's slightly different this time. Kane is on the goalkeeper this time, standing behind Asari. And Rice with the ball in for the corner towards the far post. O'Reilly got to it, turned back in by Eza, header goalwards. It's headed away from next to the post by Opon. Behind, it's another corner, third in a row for England.
The England pressure's mounting. A good, well-worked set play, put back into the middle. There's a melee of bodies. England got up and won the ball, cleared off the line.
Rice ready to take this. Big moments now. If England score, they'll surely win and will be through to the knockout stages. Here's the Rice corner. Right-footed. In it comes Asari, gets a punch to it. The Ghana goalkeeper, Eza's chasing after it. He allows it to bounce out of play. It's a throw-in to England. And that is going to be left to... Well, Morgan Rodgers has gone over there. But I think Eza is going to leave it. Yes, he is, to Reece James. James takes it quickly. We're now in the 4th minute of added time. Only 6 added on. James. Rodgers wants it. Instead, it actually goes back to Konza. Konza square to Declan Rice. Rice, middle of the half. Right-footed ball. Rodgers looking to head it back across. But there in the middle to clear it. Opoku with his left foot blasts it out of play.
Made a difference, Morgan Rodgers, since he's come on. It's more definitely had an impact since he's come on as a substitute. He's found good positions and he's made things happen.
England come again. continuing to find a way through, to try and find a way through this Ghana defence. First time ball from Eza, deflected. Saka tried to get a touch on that. It hit the defender though, so Saka actually let it go, and it's another corner, this time from the right.
He was clever there, Saka, because it was a deflection that was spinning away from him. I think if he'd have got a touch on it, it'd have gone out for a goal kick. He cleverly shielded it and got a corner from England. Discussion there between Declan Rice and Harry Kane. This is going to be a worked corner that they're coming off the training ground.
Rice and Kane have talked about it, captain and vice-captain together. Rice quickly over there. This might be it. This might be the last chance for England to win this match and make it 2 wins out of 2. Actually, Ghana are going to make a change, and before the corner is taken. And Prince Edu, who came on, who I assume was injured in that coming together with Pickford, that's the only assumption I can make, and Baba Rahman, the former Chelsea youngster, is coming on for the final moments, the left back. Right corner to England then, deep in added time. Rice, 1 foot in front of the other. Rice, out swinger, which is headed down and away for Ghana, and the referee's given a free kick. Ghana's way, and that might be it. That might be enough for Ghana to claim a point from England in this second match in the group.
It was clever there. Thomas Partey goes to ground when the ball was delivered in. I think it was Nico O'Reilly who was just over keen to win the ball. A little bit of pressure for England, a good spell towards the end, but just not enough through the full 90 minutes. Dominated the game without being clinical.
Only seconds to play. It looks as though it's going to be a disappointing 0-0 draw for England in their second match. Long downfield, unless Ghana can snatch something. Ball played back to Pickford, with Semenyo herring around. Pickford gets it onto his right foot, gives it back to James. Semenyo trying to win it back, but Rice comes across. And then Konza to Gay.
It's got to go long.
Pickford, and make it. Time is up. I think this is going to be it. Long from Pickford. This is the last chance. Opong heads it infield, and there is the final whistle. And Carlos Queiroz and everyone from Ghana down there, it's fist raised. Celebrations for Ghana after a 0-0 draw against England, and disappointment for all of these England fans who were hoping they were going to see England pick up from where they left off, but it's been an exercise in frustration here in the New England Patriots Stadium. 0-0, and now England and Ghana 4 points in the group, and England not quite through just yet.
No, England found it very, very difficult to play against the low block. That's a team that came with only one ambition, and that was to keep a clean sheet and try and nick a draw from this game. We've seen the way that they've played before, and England really did struggle against this low block. They dominated in every category: possession, territory, passes, even opportunities on goal, which were few and far between for both sides. There wasn't a lot wrong with Thomas Tuchel's side's performance in possession. It was in the final third that they lacked. They didn't move the ball quick enough, they didn't create enough, and they found it very difficult. Croatia are a better side. They're ranked in the top 10. They brought 2 medals home from the last 2 World Cups. They came to beat England, Croatia. They came to play. They went to go toe-to-toe. England found it very difficult to play against a lesser team who all they wanted to do was kill the game, and England didn't have answers today.
Handshakes all round out on the pitch. Very different to the Dallas Cowboys Stadium in England's first match. So 4 points apiece. As I say, it's not confirmed they're through yet. Almost certainly 4 points will be enough to take their place in the knockout stages, but that is all to be confirmed after England 0, Ghana 0. And Mark Chapman is here with us inside the stadium.
And there are real scenes of joy from the Ghanaian supporters here, most of them clad in yellow shirts, hugging each other, hugging anybody that's in the vicinity as well. Very happy with their point, as the Ghanaian bench were. And I know you said there at the end they came here to stifle England and play for the point. What you would say, and we've got plenty of time to reflect on England's performance, Paul, they had 2 or 3 breaks in that second half where they could have nicked more.
It's exactly the way they played against Panama, and that's what we said about them before the game. We knew how they were going to play, and yes, it's not an attractive style of football to watch, but it's certainly an effective style of football, and it's a style of football that the coach has chosen to employ And what he's got there is a buy-in from every single player. To a man, everybody stuck to their task. Every single one of them, like we say, put a shift in. Nobody left their post as such. Everyone stayed, on point the whole time. And as a team, as individuals and as a unit, all of the above, they were excellent at what they wanted to do. Yes, their game plan was very different to England's, but it was a game plan that the coach had laid out to get something from a game that he knew was going to be very difficult for them.
They didn't give up much, did they, Ghana, Steph Houghton? I mean, England maybe had a couple of headers. There was the Bukayo Saka shot. Obviously, Harry Kane putting the ball over the bar towards the end. But you've got to give credit to how they defended, as they all congregate at the moment. Players, backroom staff in a big circle in the middle of that centre circle. They do deserve, and in fact the goalkeeper Asari has been brought into the middle of that group, and he is on his knees offering a prayer, but he was excellent as well.
Yeah, he really was. No, I don't think we can take anything away from Ghana. I think Paul really said it there in terms of what they did today is what they wanted to do, but I think sometimes, Chappers, you can get teams that play in that 4-5-1 formation are quite passive. I felt as though Ghana were really, really aggressive, and I think that's what England struggled with. I think we needed to up the intensity, but Ghana, to a man, really, really did their jobs really, really well. And even when we were putting crosses in the box, Ghana were just first to absolutely everything and really stifled England. And of course the hydration breaks, the little bits of injuries that when Ghana players went down, it really kind of disrupted our rhythm. But I don't feel as though we played anywhere near what we can do against this Ghana side.
And just looking at some of the stats, Phil Jagielka, England had nearly 80% possession there, 19 shots, but only 3 of them were on target.
Yeah, and they were towards the end of the game as well, so I think, just to echo what everyone else is saying, Ghana came with a game plan. They've basically played their perfect game. They had, 2 counter-attacks, potentially could have had a penalty. If you look at the challenge from Konsa, they could have walked away. They were probably closer to getting 3 points than actually we were. And
just talk me through that, because I haven't actually seen a replay of that. We didn't see that in the stadium, but I have had a couple of messages from people back home going, that could very easily have been a penalty. So could it?
Yeah, well, to be honest, he makes a challenge, and if it's the opposite way round, 100% we are asking for a penalty. So it's one of those. I think we spoke about the Pickford incident, obviously, when he's come out and he's ended up getting tackled and we won the free kick. I'd say we were fortunate the way that event went. And I would also say we're very, very fortunate with the way that the referee and his officials interpreted the tackle from Konsa. So, again, Ghana came, they've played to their game plan. They'll be absolutely delighted. They basically were really hard to beat. As Steph said, sometimes a team can turn up, go 4-5-1 and just sit there and not do a thing. But these came, they made tackles, they won headers. Obviously not too much in the first half, but a couple of opportunities in the second half, and it was a perfect game plan for them. The only positive for us is 4 points. You'd imagine we'd do okay against Panama, and I can't imagine maybe the next round where we're going to get a team that would be so negative and be happy being so negative for the rest of the tournament. So hopefully, at least from a fan's perspective, we'll get a few more Croatia games rather than we do any more Ghanaian games.
No, but I am guessing as Ghana continue to celebrate, the players have got their flag as they walk off. The Ghana fans who are behind the goal away to our right have very much stayed. The England fans away to our left applauded the England players who went over to applaud them, and they have thinned out a lot more than the Ghana fans at the moment, who continue to celebrate, and not many empty seats in there, and not many people have left from the Ghana fans at the moment. Carlos Queiroz still stands in his technical area at the moment, just assessing the atmosphere and just assessing the players. I'm sure he'll head to be interviewed very shortly. But whilst there may not be, I suppose, Steph, a side like Ghana who will defend in that same way with not that much willingness to go forward as England go into the knockout stages, they have shown maybe how you can negate England a little bit and hit them on the break.
Yeah, they really stifled us, to be honest, Chappers, and I think that's something that you'd rather it happen early on in the group stages. And until we get to the latter round, you don't want that to be happening. So now it's all about solving problems and in creating that relationship to be able to create more chances, because look, I think we want our best players to be involved in the game as much as possible. Was Harry Kane as much an influence in this game as he was against Croatia? Probably not. So how do we get involved in the game, and how do we have full-backs and wingers being able to have that relationship to cause problems for full-backs and centre-halves? I think it's a learning curve, of course, a point to point where we sit top of the group. It's a great position to be in, but I think especially the standard we set against Croatia, I think everybody might be a little bit disappointed, but look, I think we're in that position that we're in at the moment, and I think for me, sooner to be having this experience of being able to maybe not break down that low block and take it into the latter rounds and know what we can do better next time.
Alan Shearer said on television, Paul Robinson, not a disaster, but it is absolutely a reality check.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's not a disaster, because England will get out of the group, and likelihood is that they'll beat Panama and they'll top the group and they'll go through as group winners, as we expect. But I think that type of performance, it does act as a reality check. It'll be interesting to hear the interviews that we'll have coming in shortly and to see what the players say. I think they were very level after the Croatia game. I think it'll be pretty much the same coming from them. As I say, the result's not a disaster. If they got beaten, that was a disaster. But actually a point in the grander scale of things, it will probably allow England to progress through the tournament.
We will bring you reaction when we get it. I think Declan Rice may have spoken, so when we get Declan Rice, we'll do that. We'll obviously hear from Thomas Tuchel as well, and any other England players that come out and speak. We will bring them to you. Next game tonight, Panama against Croatia, also in this group, and we've got full commentary of that to come in 50 minutes' time. Do you pay any attention? Is it just a quirk, Phil Jagielka, that now we are on the fourth tournament in a row where England have played their second group match and not won it?
Again, it depends which way you want to look at things. The fact of the matter is, as
which way do you want to look at it?
I'll be positive. We're top of the group, 4 points basically. I expect us to win the next game, go as group leaders, hopefully fit, healthy squad. As Steph said, a little bit of a reality check. Maybe there is a bit of an element of problem solving. No, we weren't getting carried away as it was. Well, I don't think the players and staff were. Maybe the whole nation was, as we always do when we win a game. But as like I say, I think it's just a little reality check. Not an amazing performance, not a bad performance by any stretch. We have still things to work on. We know we're not the complete package. That's why we've come to this tournament as maybe one of the favourites, but not the favourites for the tournament. So we have stuff to work on. I'm as much as I was bored watching the game, I'm still quite happy as an England fan.
But it was a big thing in camp this week, Steph, wasn't it? You know, we were told, John Murray told us earlier, Harry Kane had spoken to the squad about the importance of this second game.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think because we've experienced that, but then you look back at the tournaments that we finished second, we've not really got the win that we wanted to in the second game. But look, we've gone so far in the last couple of tournaments that it's not about panic stations now. Of course, yeah, it would have been nice to have wrapped up the top of the group tonight and then maybe rotated a few players in the Panama game, but it's just not meant to be. And chappers, we're at a World Cup here, and I just don't want to disrespect Ghana, because tonight they were really, really good at what they did, and they made it really, really hard for England to create the chances that we normally did if we had that little bit more space.
The Athletic do a really good thing on their app or on their website of which is called The Bracket, which if you subscribe to The Athletic or have access to it, is well worth looking at, because it has the percentage chances of where each team, and it's not done like Opta, the Opta supercomputer. It's just looking at the combinations of how the group stands, and therefore what the percentages are of where teams might find themselves. So as Group L runner-up, which is England's group, it still has Ghana and Croatia both just over 40% chance of finishing runner-up in that group, which will put them playing in Toronto on the 2nd of July, which means if you go over to the other side of the draw, it still has England at an 87% chance of winning that group. Because, I mean, the big thing in all of that is that England have to play Panama last.
Yeah, but it's going to be a different type of game now for Thomas Tuchel, because that Panama game, I'm sure he will have wanted to go into that knowing that he'd topped the group, knowing that he'd qualified and was able to make changes. But he's not necessarily going to be able to play the 11 that he wanted to from the start. He's certainly got some thinking to do between now and then on his team selection, because it's a game that they have to go out and go and win the game.
Let's get our first bit of reaction after England 0, Ghana 0. Declan Rice with BBC Television.
Well, Declan, is frustration the overriding emotion at full time?
Yeah, I think so. It's always difficult when you play against 11 behind the ball as deep as they was. You've got to find solutions, and last 10 minutes we probably found more than we did all game, and we was unlucky not to score. But look, we stay positive, we keep going, and we still have a great chance to top the group against Panama, so positivity all round.
Why do you think you couldn't find those solutions today when you did so well against Croatia?
Sorry, say that again?
Why do you think you couldn't find those solutions today?
You have to give credit to Ghana sometimes. 5-4-1 off the ball, very, very compact, tight spaces to play through. But of course, and on the other hand, maybe we can do a little bit more with the ball and create a bit more. But it's tough, they're good players, like we said that. It was never going to be an easy game, and now we have one more in the group to finish top, so we need to be positive.
It's the fourth tournament in a row where England have drawn their second group match. You've got to finals in 2 of those tournaments. Does that perhaps show that there's no need to panic, it's all on track?
Yeah, loads of top nations drew their first game. There's no need to be negative or downbeat. We need to stay positive, keep going, recover before the next match, and that's what we'll do.
You don't need to be negative or downbeat, as Declan Rice speaks to Kelly Summers there, but you can still ask questions about why they couldn't break them down, can't you, Steph?
Yeah, of course, and I think especially with the quality that we have in the squad, and look, a lot of these players come across these formations, whether that's in the Premier League, the Bundesliga, Champions League, so they know what it takes to break teams like Ghana down in terms of their formation, what they're wanting to do, and sit in that low kind of block as a team. And I think we had more than enough quality that was starting the game, but also that came off the bench to be able to do that. So I think, of course, be happy that we're top of the group, but I think for the standard and the expectation and the manager that we have, I think even though it was a difficult night, we have to try and find a way to score, whether that's early on or in the last minute, and I think that's what the players have been really frustrated about, because we have the tools to be able to unlock that defence.
Yeah, we're here to look for reasons, aren't we? I mean, there's going to be a lot of positivity coming from the England camp, because that's what they do and that's the way they are under Thomas Tuchel. But we're here to have an opinion and to analyse the game and to see what they could do tactically. And the worrying thing for me, sat here watching the game, was the way England approached the game. Yes, Thomas Tuchel is a very active, proactive manager, and his in-game changes are very good. And his in-game changes were good, and the formation changes and the personnel changes. So there was 5 personnel changes in an attacking sense. Obviously Nico O'Reilly left back, but that still gives you an attacking threat. He had 5 attacking changes, changed the formation a couple of times. They went to a 4-1-4-1, which was very attacking. And in all of that, in 35-40 minutes, when England did try and turn up the pace, they still couldn't find an answer. That would be the one worrying thing that Thomas Tuchel will be thinking about tonight.
Why couldn't they find that answer? I know I keep asking the same question to each of you, but particularly, let's say, the last 15 minutes probably looked the brightest, or was it 10 minutes, with Rashford on, then Eze and Rodgers as 2 10s, Saka on the right and Kane up front. That was probably the brightest period. But you also have to take into account then, don't you, that Ghana are starting to tire.
Yeah, but also when you step back and you analyse it now, you know the way Ghana are going to play. Now this is very, very difficult and controversial. Elliot Anderson and Declan Rice didn't need to play as 2 holding midfielders today. You could have had one of those. If you're not going to leave one of them out, you can afford to play Declan Rice higher up the field. You can afford to play Elliot Anderson higher up the field, because as the game got late and England were chasing the game, Declan Rice sat in front of a back four that had nothing to do the whole game. So when you look at the shape of the England team, there was no need for 2 defensive midfielders, and he changed that later in the game. And yes, the changes that he made affected the game. Saka changed the game. Morgan Rodgers, for me, had the biggest impact coming off the bench. He changed the game. But why wait that late in the game when you know the way that the game's panning out? Those changes either start like that or change at half time or change after 60 minutes when you can see the pattern of the game.
Micah, Phil, has said on television, frustrating thing for him, England weren't brave enough. Yes, we knew they were coming up against a team that was set up in a low block. I felt there were too many safe passes. You need to be braver when you come up against a team in a low block.
Yeah, I think that can be said especially to probably the first 45, 50, 60 minutes of the game. I don't know why that was. It was alluded to, obviously everything was a bit sideways and a bit too easy. We did make, like Robbo said, 5 really attacking substitutions. Again, we maybe showed them a little bit too much respect with the team we picked on the counter-attack. Obviously they had a lot of pace and power going forward, but they didn't really show it in the first half. But it's really easy to say after you've watched the game and you sat watching it on TV or in the stand like you guys are, what you did wrong. So maybe we were expecting more of an attacking threat from Ghana on the counter-attack, and they didn't really throw us that. And again, a little bit too safe first half, but the England camp will still be positive. Again, it's up to us now to turn up. It would have been nice to have had the top of the table sorted for the last game, but we'll just have to make it a little bit harder and a little bit more exciting in the third game against Panama.
And talking about the formation change and being braver, from the manager's point of view and the coach's point of view, and actually none of us said that before the game, because how can you change a team that played so well against Croatia? That will have been his point of view. Yes,
but he did though. He did change that team, didn't he?
Not system. I'm talking about the two defensive midfielders. Because England in that game, a lot of people will say they did not need those 2 defensive midfielders. If you're going to play that system, Declan Rice and Elliot Anderson, very difficult to leave one of those out your team. You can't. So just play one of them higher up the field, which both are able to do.
But also, there's a little bit more than you can expand on it to be more than just system, can't you, Steph? I was watching. It may have been in the last 5 minutes, and Marcus Rashford was hugging the touchline, and that was right in front of England's technical area, and Thomas Tuchel was there, and Mark Gay was on the ball, and Tuchel was pointing at Rashford to tell Gay to play the ball to him. But Gay probably took another 3, 4, 5 touches, and it's very easy saying this from sitting up here, not being at pitch level, never having played professional football in my life. But the impression was Tuchel wanted that ball moved quicker.
Yeah, without a doubt, and I think that's one of the secrets of trying to break down a team that's really defensive and is really compact and really structured, is that how can you make the pitches big as possible, but also you need to do it quick. And I think that was evident in the first half. I think if Gordon Madweki had stayed a little bit wide, it would really stretch Ghana in terms of from a defensive point of view, because especially when you're getting through the game, Chappers, to defend like that for a full 90 minutes from a concentration kind of point of view, sometimes you're going to switch off and you need to try and find that moment. And when Rashford came on, I think he did need the ball a little bit quicker, but because Gay's taken that many touches, it's hard to do that. But I think overall, I think our intensity could just be that little bit quicker, and we've got players that play at such a high intensity week in, week out for clubs, that I think when you play against this system, it's so important that you do things quickly, because as a defender you like to see everything in front of you. You don't want people on your back shoulder, you don't want to be looking around, you want everything in front, so then you can make the decisions. And it was very clear, and I think for probably 70-80 minutes I think we made it a little bit easy for Ghana to defend and to see where everybody else is. But the likes of Rodgers and Eze and Nico O'Reilly trying to make the box, I think it caused confusion, and I think the more bodies in the box allowed us to create them little chances. And unfortunately the chance that fell to Harry Kane, 9 times out of 10 he would have scored that.
Right, what are you off to do now? You're leaving us. You're going to do Panama, Croatia for telly, are you?
Yes, I am. So I've got to go and get ready. You've left us half an hour, Chappers.
Well, yeah. I'm more thinking about, have you got coffee to stay awake?
I'm going to get one now. But it's been nice speaking to you.
See you later,
See ya,
Steph.
bye,
Steph
guys.
Horton with us. Former England captain Steph Horton. The current England men's captain is with John Murray.
Yes, he is. Harry Kane standing in front of me. Frustration, I guess, is probably the word. Feelings very different in the aftermath of the Croatia match.
Yeah, obviously disappointed not to win the game. It's a game we knew we'd have loads of possession, and we did. They defended well in a compact block. They made it difficult to play through the middle of the pitch. So the game was more out wide and 1v1 duels. And I think both ends of the half, first half and second half, we got some momentum there. We got some chances. And yeah, look, it's a game that we could have walked away 1-0, 2-0, and we move on. It was never going to be the prettiest game because of the way they play, but credit to them. They defended well. They're dangerous on the counter-attack. I thought overall we controlled that pretty well. They didn't have many chances, so look, we take the point and we move on.
Were you lacking something today?
Maybe just a little bit of quality, but these games are tough. I've played in these type of games. A lot of us have played in these type of games where it's almost 11 behind the ball. You have to be patient. You have to break them down. You almost sometimes need an early goal to kind of open the match, and then they have to come out. But as the game gets longer at 0-0, they believe more. They defend with their heart, and like I said, we still had chances towards the end there. Obviously, I'm backing myself to score that more often than not. But
you looked like you couldn't believe you didn't put it in the net.
One of those, but I've lived the striker life long enough to know they're not always going to go in. I backed myself 9 times out of 10. Unfortunately, it just didn't fall my way today.
I know you spoke to everybody about the importance of trying to win the second match, because England haven't done that in the last 3 tournaments. You've not done it. That's not going to affect the mood?
No, I don't think so. We're still in a great position in the group. I always talk about major tournaments and splitting it into 2 chunks. First is the group stage, making sure nothing crazy happens, and you're not going into the last game desperate to need 3 points and wait for other results. We're in a convincing position. We play Panama next, which we expect ourselves, if we play to our level, to be able to win and hopefully top the group. So look, we want to win. It hasn't, the last few tournaments hasn't been the second win, and we wanted that second win today, but it weren't to be. But overall, we're in a good position, and we look forward to the next one.
Thank you, Harry Kane.
Cheers. Thank you.
Speak soon.
Harry Kane, England captain, with John Murray. We're expecting some more reaction. We'll hopefully hear from Thomas Tuchel soon as well. And in fact, as Harry Kane walks off, Mark Gay walked in. John?
Yes, slightly confusing. I was speaking to you saying Mark, and actually Mark Gay was standing in front of me. So anyway, Mark, congratulations. First appearance at a World Cup, first of all. That's another little milestone.
Yeah, I'm grateful to God. I wouldn't be here without Jesus Christ, my Lord and my Saviour. So I'm grateful to him, and I'm happy to help the team in any way.
So what was it like out there? Just said to Harry Kane, frustration's the word, isn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't say frustration. I think it's all important to put things into perspective. That's what life is about. On another day, we win the game and everyone's buzzing, and the main thing was that the performance was actually good. The performance, we looked like a team that wanted to score, that had chances to score goals, and it's important that we just learn from this game and build.
And they were exactly as Thomas Tuchel suggested, weren't they?
Yeah, physical, very organised side, determined to do everything. Like you see at the end of the game what it meant to them. So I think it's important that we give credit to them. But like I said, it's important that we put things into perspective and try and learn and move forward.
Yeah. So anyone listening at home who thinks there's a little bit of a bursting of the bubble here, not the case.
No, not at all. I think it's life. We all wanted to win today, and that wasn't possible. So you look at what you can take from the game. Like I said, a lot of positives. On another day, we score the goals and 6 points in the group. That wasn't the case today. It's just important that we know now it's in our hands for the next game, and we just focus on that one.
Exactly so, and we know, don't we, from Euro 2024, it's all about finding a way through a tournament, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think the fans know that. The fans know that. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm the voice of reason or whatever. The fans are very aware, and I think we're all glad because their support is needed, and their support was definitely heard and felt today for sure in the stadium and back at home. But yeah, as long as we carry on doing what we're doing, I think we'll be okay.
Thank you nevertheless for the voice of reason, Mark.
Thank you.
Speak soon. And there he goes, and from Mark to Mark.
Wait, sorry, which Mark was the voice of reason?
Guess which one it wasn't.
Yes, I thank you very much. Phil Jagielka listening to Mark Gay's interview there. He's right, isn't he, actually? Look, it's one of those things, and it's not disastrous. That's life sometimes, and everybody moves on. The issue with that, which is 100% accurate, is it then makes for a very short post-match analysis show.
Yeah, it doesn't help us, does it? A 0-0 doesn't help us at all. Like I say, end of the day, we've got 4 points. If you'd have flipped it the way around and got a draw against Croatia and we'd have beat Ghana, we'd have been in a worse position. So we've got to look at it. We've got the main 3 points in the first game. We'd have liked to have extended that today, got basically through top of the table, and look forward to plotting our route in the next round or so. I don't see it being a problem. I think we will still get to where we need to get to. But yeah, we just haven't made it quite as easy as we could have done. But it's basically as simple as that. Could we have played better? Yes. Is there things that we need to improve on? Yes. Is it a good time to find that out about our team? Yes. So if you look at it, it's been a pretty decent night, even though we would have loved 3 points.
I wonder whether the Mark Gay interview as well, Paul, sort of reflects the tournament maturity of England and their growth over the last couple of World Cup cycles, in that actually everybody knows that they will be all right.
Yeah, the understanding of a tournament and the understanding of tournament football and working your way through. I mean, how often do we see a team that not necessarily wins a tournament, that goes deep in a tournament, loses the first game or doesn't start too well, playing too well? And it's a phrase that we use quite often, growing into a tournament, as long as you get better through a tournament. But now that hasn't happened for England. I mean, they started excellently and there's been a drop-off in the second game. They'll have to win the third game and then they'll progress. And then the real questions will start getting, asked in the knockout stages. But the three kind of very gentle vanilla interviews that we've had, you're not going to get anything else. It's going to be, it's a point, it's a positive for us. We've got 4 points now, we're going to move on. It's one of those days, it's difficult, and yes, you can understand that, but there are things to look at. There are problems in that performance. There's players underperformed again in that performance. Anthony Gordon, for me, that's 2 games that he hasn't turned up in. He's got brought off in them both. The substitutes have made the difference in them both. I don't think he's played particularly well in there. Jed Spence came into the game today. I don't think he played particularly well. I think there's players in that performance that didn't play well. Yes, there's going to be a positive tone coming from the England side, but I think that if we're going to analyse it, there's got to be questions asked over certain players.
Do you think the Gordon performance was different tonight to the Dallas one, in the sense of, and I'd have to have a look at the numbers to confirm this, but it certainly felt, observing it, he had more of the ball tonight than he did against Croatia?
I thought he had more of the ball, but I don't think he was effective with the ball. I thought he got into areas and he slowed it down at times. I don't think either winger, Madueke in the first half, I thought the fullback played extremely well, and I think Ghana marked both of them out of the game, and neither of them had an answer other than coming inside and keeping possession. There was no real excitement down the wings until Saka came on and Morgan Rogers came on. Morgan Rogers was the one that looked like having the key to unlock a door, which then that brings the wingers into the game, the wide players into the game.
It did feel, Phil, that neither of the wide men in Madueke and Gordon really managed to get round the back of their fullbacks.
That's because they didn't. I think it's simple. I think Madueke got in once in the first half with his right foot, where Declan Rice headed over the bar, and maybe Madueke got in once in the second half when he went on the left. So again, yeah, I think if you're looking at Gordon, I think he did a job for the team in the first game at Croatia. He closed down really well and didn't really get the ball, whereas today you could see, I think it was a 5-minute period, but it said on the TV, when you could see Jed Spence passed him the ball and ran past him twice, and it caused him a massive problem. I don't know why it took to about the 66th minute for it to happen, where you obviously overloading and going down the wing. So
because there was no threat going the other way, really.
Yeah, well, that's why we presume, again, why we don't know the exact. That's why we presume. Obviously, he was chosen over O'Reilly was for his defensive thing, obviously on the counter attack, but that wasn't really needed. So yeah, it would have been nice to have seen the left side especially do a few more overlaps. In the first half, there's a couple inside runs from James, which he got slipped in once and nearly got slipped another time. But again, I just don't think we put them under enough pressure to do that, because yeah, they still defended those 3 or 4 opportunities towards the end of the game, but it would have been a lot more interesting if they'd have had to do that 10-15 times during the game. It's a lot harder to do it, those numbers, rather than 2 or 3 times in the whole 90 minutes.
The rain continues to fall here in Foxborough, the home of the New England Patriots. England players, friends and family, a lot of them with ponchos on over their England shirts, waiting for the players to come back out to see them. There are a band of Ghanaian friends and family as well, waiting for their players to come back out so they can talk to them. But aside from that, the stadium is not far off deserted in terms of the seats. A few of the bar areas still have people in them as the stadium starts to fully empty. We've got about another 20 minutes or so before we then bring you full commentary of Croatia against Panama. We will hear from Thomas Tuchel, though. Before we go off air, Paul Robinson and Phil Jagielka will stay with us. But just after 11:30 back in the UK, Lisa McCormick has your news.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The voice of the UK and the FIFA World Cup 2026.
And hundreds of schools in England and Wales will be at least partially closed over the next few days because of the high temperatures. Rail operators are asking people only to travel if it's absolutely necessary. A red weather warning comes into force for some areas tomorrow morning. Andy Burnham's met Sir Keir Starmer for the first time since winning the Makerfield by-election last Friday. He's the front-runner to replace the Prime Minister, who announced his resignation yesterday. The EU Aviation Safety Agency has ordered urgent inspections of 16 Airbus A380 planes after cracks were found in a key wing component. 15 of the planes are operated by Emirates and one by Qantas. And the reflecting pool in Washington DC is to be drained just weeks after a multi-million-dollar renovation, with President Trump blaming vandals for peeling paint and algae. He says the attraction's damage includes what he's described as a 300-foot-long gash.
Tomorrow morning from 10, have your say in the UK's biggest World Cup debate.
I haven't felt confident about England since Euro 96.
He would have said to them, this is what I'm going to do and this is how I'm going to play. We'll go down fighting, but it won't be for want of trying.
6:06 on 5 Live.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Live from Boston.
This is 5 Live Sport.
At the FIFA World Cup 2026.
With Mark Chapman.
Still waiting to hear from Thomas Tuchel. Our plan is to hear from Jordan Pickford as well before we go off air. But I know what you're thinking. It's 11:33. Where has the Panama team news been? Mike Maine.
It's the one everyone's been waiting for. I tell you what, actually, with England drawing now, because of the head-to-head record, whoever wins this, providing there is a winner between Panama and Croatia, will knock the other side out. So Croatia could be going home by the small hours of what will be Wednesday morning by the time we get underway. Panama one change from that defeat to Ghana. Waterman benched for Jose Fajardo, who is getting a rare start. Just under half his appearances for Panama have been from the bench, actually. Croatia changed 3, but keep Luka Modric in. So that's cap number 200 for him for his country. It's Mario Pasalic swapped out for Marko Pasalic, related only in their positions. They are not related via bloodline. Sucic and Vuskovic go to the bench. Mateo Kovacic starts for the first time since October for Croatia in a competitive game. And Pongracic also comes in as their third change.
Croatia, Panama, which is 25 minutes away. Now, Wayne Rooney has said on BBC One this evening, you're always hoping for that energy and that performance that we had against Croatia in the second half. But these games are so difficult when the team sits back. You have to break them down. You have to find the space. For me, the key was getting crosses into the box, and that is where all the chances came from. But this was a typical Carlos Queiroz performance. Ghana were excellent and they were disciplined, and here is the Ghana manager.
Well, the first goal, it's achieved. We qualify for the second round, and I must say that I am so proud the way our players they fought during the game, how much they stand behind the plan, the game plan, and they always believe that we had the chance to win against a great team. I will say, my humble opinion, England, they can be candidates to win the World Cup. But this is a result, an achievement. First of all, it's a gift for our fans. Also, some of our players that we lost, like Salisu, Dziko, Kudus, some players that we lost, Ziggy, we lost injury. It's a gift for them. And most important, it is a gift for the people of Ghana.
Okay, now the first half was a bit of you sitting back and defending. The second half was a bit different. What did you tell the boys at recess?
That's the way to win. When you have to defend, you defend. I cannot play samba when they play rock and roll. That's the name of the game. But the goal was exactly to finish the first half with the English team frustrated, with no solutions. That they went to the half time. They knew they don't have solutions to beat us. And that was when we started to grow up and control the game. And we could score. Unfortunately, we didn't do it. But I think also England could score. So a draw is a fair result.
Carlos Queiroz there. And just to go back to praising Ghana a little bit here, Paul Robinson, only 4 teams now haven't conceded at this World Cup, and Ghana are one of those, and they faced 30 shots and they still haven't conceded. The other 3 teams, Argentina, Mexico and Spain, Argentina 13 shots, Mexico 12, Spain 9. So they're way ahead on the number of shots they faced, and yet they haven't conceded a goal.
Well, you can see why. I mean, the performance, we've given them credit for the way that they've set up. They were very, very narrow, and the way that the defence sat on top, the midfield sat on top of the defence. So we all talk in commentary and in football terms about breaking through the lines, passes through the lines, players trying to find pockets of space. And what they did well, not just well in the challenge, but actually off the ball, they closed space down, and they were very, very quick to close England players down. And it was a very well organised defensive display. Like I said to you, Carlos Queiroz is a very pragmatic, defensive-minded manager. But if you're going to play like that, that is not an easy way to play football. It's certainly not an enjoyable way for strikers to play. Semenyo and Ayew will not have enjoyed playing in that system because they get nothing going forward. Scraps on the counter-attack. You have to have a big buy-in from all of your players to do that for a long period of time and to keep concentration and disciplined all the way to the end.
And you have to be really on it defensively, don't you, Phil? There were very few crosses into their own box that Ghana didn't get their own head on first. I can think of a couple of Elliot Anderson headers. I think there may have been a Declan Rice header in the first half, but in the main, the Ghana centre halves got on the end of every ball that came into their box.
Yeah, and we said there wasn't that many balls that came in box. I think both the fullbacks were so aggressive, trying to stop the cross. Obviously that was their job first and foremost, but as I said, as soon as the ball came in the box, more often than not it was a Ghanaian head. It's obviously fantastic for them. They've got 4 points on the first 2 games of the tournament. They're absolutely delighted. That's why you've seen the scenes we've seen on the TV afterwards. It's a dangerous game to play when you set up so, I'm not going to say it, so defensively. If you do end up conceding a goal, it does put your game plan out the window. But fair play to him. 90 minutes played, and still 2 clean sheets.
I think Mike has agreed with you on BBC One as well that on another day, Konsa's challenge on Prince Adu could have been given as a penalty. Darren Cann has said we had our hearts in our mouths when we saw Konsa make that challenge. I'm not sure that's an impartial assistant referee view, but anyhow. I'm delighted. Then he goes on to say, as an England fan, I'm delighted it wasn't given, but I have to be honest, it should have been referred to the referee. Konsa made no contact at all with the ball. He brought down his opponent. He's airborne. He's out of control. He makes contact with the attacker. So for me, that was a penalty kick. We didn't really see that shown again, did we?
The replays weren't shown inside the stadium, so maybe they thought that was a contentious decision. But I mean, we've got the monitors on the desk where we would see the replays. I think there was a couple of replays that we got, but not from an angle where we could see him clearly get the foot in on the Ghanaian attacker first. So if England had got away from one,
Jordan quickly take the free kick, but the ref did wait, to be fair, so he must have had some sort of communication.
Well, they must have done.
Yeah. So
he let a lot go, though, the ref, didn't he? He let a lot go, so I think it was in keeping with his refereeing on the pitch. But like you said, if that was at the other end, I think we'd all be screaming.
Let's hear from Jordan Pickford. He's with Kelly Summers.
Jordan, another point on the board for England, but what's the overriding emotion after that?
Yeah, I think we knew it was always going to be tough against Ghana, and they went into. We knew they played counter-attacking football. We kind of knew, but they probably went more 4-5-1 instead of 4-3-3, and yeah, they were really hard to break down. I think we had our chances, and we had to be wary of the counter-attack. It's football, it's always that one. When you get that first goal against them, get an early goal against them, it opens up the game a lot more. But they played a good game, and we've got to be happy. We're still top of the group and focus on Panama now, and finish strong in the group and top it.
England did have so much possession, created a few chances towards the end, but you as well had to stay switched on because we saw the threats that they posed too.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I've just mentioned there. We knew that they play counter-attacking. You've got like Semenyo, you've got some top players, some fast players, and you've got to be ready and be called upon, and that's what I felt like I did, even though not making many saves, just being in the right position at the right moment. And some of the lads is defending as well towards the end of the game, blocks, recovery runs. It was top draw. It was hard work put in that people sometimes don't see, and we would love to win the game, but we've not lost. We know it's tournament football, group stage football, and it's in our hands to top the group.
Is it perhaps a bit of a reality check after the highs of last week?
No, I think you play different teams every game, and we just didn't get that goal. It's simple as that, because we limited them to so many little chances, and we played well. We kept coming, we kept going all the way at the end, and just never managed to get that goal. But that's football.
Do you think he might change the left side again for Panama, Phil?
Probably. He may change the right side as well. I don't put anything past him. I think obviously we spoke before the game about Stones is not playing. He could potentially put him on the right side. I'm not 100% sure exactly how Panama will play against us, but I'm sure he'll want to go out there and get a goal earlier and probably leave the group with a bit more of a positive sort of vibe. So yeah, I could probably see potentially Gahey staying in, but maybe O'Reilly coming in at left back to give us that natural balance. But I'm sure he's got many plans, regardless of how the game's gone tonight, what he was going to do for the Panama game. This will be a plan A if we'd got top of the group and maybe potentially could have rested a few players. Whereas he'll have a plan B, which will be go out there and win and take that confidence through to the latter stages.
I suppose it also depends, Paul, doesn't it, on how much he feels he still has to manage, certainly Bukayo Saka and maybe even Rashford a little bit.
Yeah, well, I think that would be the decision for him with Marcus Rashford. I mean, we saw how late that he came on in the game today, and I think Anthony Gordon's impact, which I spoke about before, I think maybe that was the reason that he started on the left-hand side due to Marcus Rashford's fitness. We know that he's been carrying a knock, and he was a big impact when he came on against Croatia, and I thought he had an impact again when he came on today. But the left side again will be in question. But if Thomas Tuchel is good to his word and he does what he says, he's going to pick a team to play against his opponents and personnel to play against his opponents. And actually, I've just had a quick look at my Panama notes because I've done a few ahead of next week's game. Low block, low possession and a defensive side. So whether he goes to a 4-1-4-1 like he finished with there at the end, which they look better in, we may see a shape change because it's going to be more of the same for England.
Which would go back to what we didn't say pre-match, but we did say post-match, and maybe just changing that midfield balance a little bit. Let's hear from the England head coach live on 5 Live. He's with John.
Yes, here he is, Thomas Tuchel walking across. Thomas, you did tell us it might be like that, didn't you?
Yeah, I told you. And it was like that. I mean, credit to them. I rarely saw a physical performance like that from a team. They defended with 10 players in a deep block. So it made it difficult for us because they defended very disciplined and they were very physical on every position. So it took us a while to break this block down, to find the rhythm. Everything was in our responsibility to come up with a rhythm and to create chances. And at the same time, you need to be so careful to not concede counterattacks. We did all that. We created half chances, we created deliveries, we created corners, but we couldn't get a goal to open the game up and to change the characteristic of the game. So it took a while even in the second half, and then with the energy and the fatigue of the opponent, the energy from our substitutes, we were there, we were pushing, had the big chance with Harry that he will never miss in this tournament again. So it is what it is. Go from here.
We heard Carlos Queiroz say that he felt that at half-time he didn't think England had the solutions to find a way through. You didn't think that, did you?
No, I didn't think that. It is difficult to find a way through if someone plays a 4-5-1 completely deep and is committed to it, and they celebrated the 0-0 in the end like a win. So you could see the different approaches, which is fair enough, and credit to them. You just cannot lose your head about it. You need maybe a shot, you need maybe a deflected shot, you need a second chance from a set piece, a little mistake from a defender, a one-on-one in the right moment. We tried to commit a little bit more the fullbacks. I expected them not that deep, so we pushed our fullbacks to commit a bit more into attack in the second half. It took us a while to find our rhythm in the second half. The substitutes helped, and then the fatigue set in. And then we created more and more the longer the game went, but couldn't score.
Thanks, Thomas. We'll see you for the next one.
Exactly.
There we go. Thomas Tuchel with us live on 5 Live.
Thank you. And he follows on a little bit from Mark Gay, doesn't he, Phil Jagielka, with it is what it is.
Yeah, quite blasé, but again he lets us know exactly how he feels, and he's not really hiding anything from us. We mentioned about the fullbacks, passing and doing a couple of overlaps in the second half. I'm not sure why it took so long to...
I mean, that would be the question, I suppose, is could you have done that a bit more in the first half?
Yeah, but again, you're not sure what the game plan was. Maybe we could have used the hydration break to get that across after the first quarter, should we call it. But again, he's not... It's the same vibe from everyone that's spoken to us, and it's not the worst place to be. Everyone's pretty relaxed with where we are. It puts us under a little bit of pressure in the last game, but nowhere near panic stations. And again, if we're going to learn a lesson, as Robbo says, it looks like it's going to be a copy and paste sort of game for England coming up next. So hopefully there'll be a few more answers in that, either the starting 11 or throughout the game, to potentially get us a goal or two in the next game.
You can maybe see what the reaction will be over the next 12 to 24 hours, Paul, and should Rashford start, should Saka start, should Rodgers start, because what do you do with Eze, for example, particularly the first three, maybe given what they did when they came on, but that's the nature of the substitute, isn't it? You maybe can make more of an impact because those people who've been on for the first 60 to 70 minutes have tired out the opposition.
And not just at international level, but at club level as well. We see lots of players that, to their own detriment, they have such an impact coming off the bench. The manager puts them off the bench for that exact reason, because they've got such an impact coming off the bench. And I think that when you look at it, he's got a squad of players that he does trust. And he's not going to be open and honest and say, he wasn't happy with this and tell us what he didn't like. The positivity was always coming. I'm not surprised by any of the interviews that I've heard. But this has made us ask the questions that he didn't want us to ask. After the Croatia game, we all thought that England, this was going to be the test. How are we going to see England? Is it going to be on the back of that positive Croatia performance? Are we going to be waxing lyrical about the pace, the tempo, the attacking quality? These are the questions that Thomas Tuchel, with that performance, he didn't want for himself, and he didn't want people from the outside asking.
And I suppose the danger for England, such as it is, Phil, is teams will have watched these first two games and think, okay, well, if you play like Croatia and try and go toe to toe with England, then you will leave yourself vulnerable. But if you can be compact and defend and have a decent threat on the counter, maybe that is the approach to take.
Yeah, but I imagine as we're getting on later on in the tournament, they would have an idea about that anyway. They'll look at our squad, they'll look at our team, and unless you are one of the top nations where you will go toe to toe with anyone and everyone, you'll have to come up with a plan of attack and some sort of tactics. And yeah, I think I won't say it was obvious, but I don't think it's that insane to think if you can frustrate England and hit them on the counter attack, they potentially will leave themselves open for a couple of opportunities, and you might be able to sneak a win. But we said before, as we get further on in the tournament, when it's knockout football, you're a very, very brave manager of a national team if you're going to sit in and be as deep and negative for a long period. And what was it, 80% possession?
Yeah.
There's not going to be that many knockout games when you get 80% possession where you're going to then do 90 minutes, then potentially into extra time and then into penalties and win. You might do, but I think there comes a point where most teams, as you get in the latter stages in the knockout tournament, will have to open up at some point, and hoping that we obviously get as far as possible, and we have got plenty of talent to be able to do that. So yeah, it is a little bit of a plan how to frustrate England, but I don't see, well, obviously Panama will probably do exactly the same, but I don't see past Panama, depending on obviously who we get after that a team would come and do it for such a long period as obviously Ghana were able to today. And the thing with Ghana got a last minute winner against Panama, which allowed them to do that against us, whereas if they drew the first game, then could they have come and accepted a draw knowing that potentially that wouldn't have been enough for them to have qualified as a lucky loser? So it's all part and parcel of how the tournament's gone for them, really.
Phil, thank you very much. Paul, thank you very much. as Mark Gay said, that's life sometimes. Thomas Tuchel, it is what it is. But we managed to eke nearly an hour out of post-match, so that's not too bad, is it? Tomorrow, Scotland against Brazil. Full commentary from 11 o'clock. You can watch it on BBC One as well. Saturday, we'll bring you full commentary of England against Panama as well. But the matches keep coming at this World Cup. Also in England's group, next up, Croatia against Panama, and Mike Maine will be watching this one.
Thank you, Mark. And Toronto is ready in a sea of red and white for both that of Croatia and also of Panama. As the two teams walk out and fan out across the centre circle, the cameras here trained in on one man, the Croatian captain Luka Modric, with number 10 on his back, his 200th appearance for Croatia this evening. So in front of that navy circular banner that covers the centre circle, a map of the world with the countries filled in gold, it is time for the two national anthems.
Veuillez vous lever si vous le pouvez pour l'hymne national du Panama.
Please remain standing if you're able for the playing of the national anthem of Croatia.
Veuillez rester debout si vous le pouvez pour l'hymne national de la Croatie.
All sets of players from their respective countries put their hands over their hearts and sang their national anthems with pride, including that of the Danish-born Spanish resident of Thomas Christensen, the Panama manager who has applied for citizenship of the country of which he's managed for nearly 6 years. And there is nearly some pressure on this match as well, as the players move along the line and shake hands with one another. Whoever wins this is guaranteed third spot, at least, because how teams are decided, if level on points, then the head-to-head record comes first. The draw leaves it wide open heading into the final round of fixtures. Panama have never won a World Cup match. This is their 5th attempt. It's World Cup number 7 for Croatia, In the previous 6, it's either been at least a semi-final or it's been a group stage exit. So, Andy Reid, how did Croatia make sure it isn't 4 group exits?
Well, I thought they were a little bit one-paced against England. I didn't really think they had that kind of real push and real drive to go and win that game. So they'll need to have that they need to have that in this game, that's for sure. I think what we will find is Panama will sit back, they will make it difficult, they'll get plenty of numbers behind the ball, so they're going to have to move the ball quick, try and be creative and see if they can get themselves a couple of goals. I think with that England result kind of throws this group wide open now, doesn't it? It makes this game a really interesting prospect.
Plenty of fans had their smartphones out for the anthems, caught a couple as well, covered head to toe in red and white Czech paint, body paint. That must have taken some time, because it's each individual square you've got to place perfectly. So credit to the fans that have gone to that much trouble. Let's have a look at the two teams tonight then, starting with Panama. From that defeat to Ghana on match day 1, Waterman is benched for Jose Fajardo. Rare start for him. Just under half his appearances for Panama have come as a substitute. So they line up with Mosquera in goal. He plays his club football in Saudi Arabia, where he's teammates with Chris Smalling. Ramos, Cordoba and Andrade at the back 3. Murillo, Harvey, Barcenas the captain, and Blackman in midfield. 2 of those 4, Harvey and Blackman, would risk missing match day 3 if they're booked. Martinez and Rodriguez flank Fajardo, their only change in a front 3.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they line up. It's going to be interesting to see if they can actually get enough men forward at times. I think there'll be counter-attack football. I think, like I said, they'll flood that midfield. You'll see Ramos and Andrade trying to step in and go tight when they can. And up top, you'll see Martinez and Rodriguez dropping in to try and make sure that they keep that midfield tight.
I hope you heard that perhaps in the background whilst Andy was talking there. The big screens showed the picture and the name of Luka Modric, 200 caps for him this afternoon in Toronto, or this evening rather. And he stands just over the ball in the centre circle, his little thin headband on across that long neck-length hair of his. 3 changes from their defeat to England then. Mario Pasalic swapped out for Marko Pasalic, both play in the midfield but aren't blood related. Kovacic comes in, as does Pongracic. It is Sucic and Vaskovic that drop to the bench. So Livakovic is their goalkeeper, Stanisic of Bayern Munich in the back 4 with Šutalo, Pongracic and Manchester City's Joško Vardiol, who's playing left back today. Captain Luka Modric alongside Mateo Kovacic, who gets his first start in a Croatia shirt since October. In front of them, the 3 of Pasalic, Baturina and Perisic. It is Musa, one of their 2 goal scorers against England, who starts up front. We're nearly ready for kick-off. The countdown begins with Luka Modric about to get us underway.
Yeah, there's some household names there, isn't it? There's players that are very familiar in this team, and we know that they've got the quality. Speaking about Modric in particular, can he dictate the pace of the game? Can he change the pace when he needs to? Can he play through the lines? I thought, at times he looked a little bit leggy in the England game, and it became difficult for him in there to make an impact. We've seen him coming off in that game, so he'll be looking to dictate that game and pass that ball forward, get people in these pockets, and really see if he can drive this Croatian team forward.
So we are underway. Panama in their changed strip. It is a navy, almost really dark green looking shirt, shorts and socks to match, a little white side panel to the shirts as well. Croatia in the red and white check shirts with a large thick vertical white panel running down the middle, the white shorts and the white socks. Panama from left to right, Croatia from right to left.